Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome to the ultimate Cleveland sports show, along with Dustin Fox and Mikey McNuggets. I'm Adam the Bull. We got Anthony Earl and Director Steve on the other side of the glass, and we have it's been a crazy morning, guys. We were originally going to start talking about the Cavs talking with the Knicks or playing the Knicks. We'll get to that later. Then we were like, maybe we should start with the Guardians. They had a terrible loss last night to San Diego.
Terrible loss.
Well, we'll get to that too. But and then this morning I came in, and about 10 minutes before the show, I had Anthony and Earl scrambling because I was like, guys, we got to start with the Browns. And usually I'm the one making an argument for starting somewhere else but the Browns. But I'm like, this is silly already. This is silly. And I'll explain what I mean in just a second. First, Anthony, give me a read here.
Great. Yeah, I'll let you get into it, Bull. But first, March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's going to cut down the net. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them up with spreads, totals, and game props. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and get in on college hoop action all tournament long.
All right, Anthony. So Field Yates put out his latest mock draft this morning. I love Field Yates. He's great. Really good dude. And he put out his mock draft. I think we have a graphic. Here we go. So he has Abdul Carter, and everybody, it's trending towards Abdul Carter. Enough! Mercy! The Browns cannot draft Abdul Carter just because every Tom, Dick, and Harry who thinks they're an NFL expert says, well, this guy's going to be great. First of all, I don't know if he's going to be great or not, Dustin. I don't know if he's going to be great or not.
Listen, every linebacker at Penn State wears number 11 is awesome. So I'm sure he's going to be great. But guess what? The Browns aren't going to win any more games because of this guy.
They're not going to. This is it. You turn a franchise around with a quarterback. But no, it's a reach for Shedeur. How do you know? How do we know? How do you know it's a reach? I know this guy took a Jacksonville State program.
Jackson State.
Jackson State, sorry. Who the hell takes Jackson State anywhere? Anybody?
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, Travis Hunter and,
and Shedeur Sanders.
And Shedeur Sanders.
Which we're going to get to in a second.
Yeah. Jackson State. He made him a winner. Then he goes to Colorado.
1-11 year before.
1-11. Arguably the worst major Division I program in the country.
I did call one of their games the year before.
They were
1-11. They were the worst team. They were like Kent State bad.
Okay. Yeah. Kent State bad, for crying out loud. That's bad. For those who don't know, I think you do.
They know.
And then and Dion brought some good players with him. But for the most part, Shedeur and Travis Hunter are the only elite players on that offense, right? Correct. Some decent wide receivers besides them. No running game, no offensive line. All these other quarterbacks that you're talking about, they played at much better programs with much better talent around them. All this guy does, he makes smart decisions. He's accurate. He's intelligent. He's a hard worker. What are the negatives I'm hearing about this guy?
There's no negatives. I mean, I would say that he's a little slight in his build.
Yeah.
Like he's not the biggest guy in the world. So that's, I guess, a little bit of a concern. But, I mean, I don't know.
To me, that's a minor thing, Dustin. And, he doesn't have an elite arm. Okay, so what? You know who doesn't have an elite arm? Joe Burrow. He doesn't have an elite arm either. And he's one of the best quarterbacks in football. You don't have to have an elite arm. You got to be able to make the throws. He can make the throws. Is he going to be perfect on deep throws? No. That will be not the best part of his game. But he's a good – and I think, people say, well, he's not a great athlete. He's a perfectly fine athlete. Not every quarterback has to be Lamar Jackson or can be Lamar Jackson.
They're not.
Right?
He's a one of one.
That's right. So he's a perfectly fine athlete. He's going to be able to move in the pocket. He's going to be able to run when they need him to. He's not running a 5.2 out there. I mean, come on, let's not get crazy. And here's the thing, man. This guy has dealt with more pressure at that position than probably anybody. Maybe Arch Manning, I don't know. But, as much as any player we've seen, he handles it well. What have I heard? Todd McShay heard, teams didn't think he was interested, or he comes off a little cocky. These 60 and 70-year-old scouts, They're out of touch. Young players are different now. Some of them are cocky, whatever. The kid seems like a very nice kid. I think he's a good leader. I think he's a good player. I'm not an expert. I'm not sure he's going to be great in the NFL. But what's the downside if you blow it is huge. If you miss on a defensive, let's say he becomes a great defensive lineman. So what? The Browns are not a good enough franchise that they're going to nail it in the draft all the time. The only thing that turns it around is a quarterback. And if you draft Sanders and he ends up sucking, then you draft another quarterback. Well, that's it to me.
I would say this much about Sanders. Like, from a standpoint of, I like him because he can turn a franchise around.
Yes.
Assuming he's going to continue to be a good player in the league, which I don't know why he wouldn't be. I mean, if he can do it in the Big 12 at a high level, which he did, without an offensive line and without a whole lot of weapons, as you pointed out, Adam, I think he'll be able to do it here. And, it takes a special guy. Baker Mayfield was special. I thought he did a nice job with the Browns, kind of, getting the ship back in the right lane, with the organization. And that's what they need now from that position. They need someone to stabilize the organization. This guy was born to play in the NFL. Deion's a hard ass worker. Never drank, smoked, did anything bad off the field, never got in trouble.
Never.
And his kids are all like they're in church more than they're either in their playbook or in church. I mean, so you can't have a team full of choir boys, but this dude's a really good guy. Yeah. He's confident. And he can make plays. I'm interested.
If my quarterback's confident or even cocky, that's what I want. He's a quarterback.
Yes.
He's got to lead the team. You don't want it to be an irrational level of cockiness, but I don't think that's the case here. You're right. No. He's born to play football. Being the quarterback of the Browns is maybe more pressure than any other quarterback job because there's been so much losing. Yeah. And who is more equipped to handle that pressure than this guy? No. And for all we'll get a quarterback next year. You don't know that. What if there's only one good quarterback next year and you're picking second and Arch Manning's the only good quarterback? Well, you ain't getting them next year. You're going to keep waiting and waiting and waiting for the perfect guy? Come on now.
I promise you this much. Colorado could have had Travis Hunter. They could have had all these other. If they don't have Sanders, they win one game. Again.
Yes.
The quarterback is unquestionably the most important position, not just in the NFL, but in Power 5 college football, in mid-major college football, in D3 college football. And maybe D3, if you have a killer running back, you can get away with it. But you get my point. The quarterback changes the trajectory of everything. And if the Browns feel like Shedeur Sanders can be that player, there is no reason not to take him at number 2. In that initial Field Yates mock draft, which we referenced off the top, it was a 2-round mock draft. He had the Browns taking Shook out of Louisville with the 33rd pick and Carter with the number 2 pick.
Yeah.
Shuck.
You know what's funny? In my head, I say it right every time, and then it just comes out wrong. I know exactly what it is. My bad. Shuck and Oyster, Tyler Shuck, he was the 33rd pick. Yeah. If the Browns like Sanders, he should be the pick at 2. If they don't like Sanders, I'm on the Travis Hunter train.
100%.
I don't understand. Abdul Carter is a terrific prospect. He might be a great player. Your pass rush was fine last year and you sucked. You have to do something to fix the offense because you could have 2 great pass rushers, and if you can't score more than 10 points, you're going to lose 17, 16, 15 games next season. But if the Browns, who they're going to work out Sanders on Friday in private, they come out of that meeting.
The pro day's today or tomorrow?
No, so the pro day, there was a whole confusion in the pro day.
Can you clarify that for me?
The Big 12 had a Big 12 pro day.
Okay.
Sanders and Hunter opted not to work out then. They're having private workouts on Friday, and they got pushed back to Friday with teams. The Browns will be there. They'll get their chance to meet with both guys, sit down, talk to them in person. Kevin Stefanski, during his press conference at the NFL owners meeting, was talking about some of the things he likes in those individual workouts, some of the coaching tips. He wants to throw stuff on the fly at them, see how they adjust. So those meetings are going to be crucial. And if the Browns front brass, Stefanski, Berry, Haslam, who I believe will be there, I'm not certain, but I believe will be there for those meetings, if they come out of that meeting saying, yeah, this guy can be a franchise quarterback, and they don't put his name on the card at number 2, it's a mistake in my mind.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something else. I'm going a step further. The Browns need to go all in, and they need to do whatever it takes to get the Giants' 3rd pick, too.
And get Hunter, too?
And get Hunter, too.
Yeah, I know you
whatever it takes. I don't care if you have to trade 2 more first-round picks. Do whatever you got to do. Get them together. Because if you have Shedeur and I know this is probably a very slim chance of happening, but if you had Shedeur, but the Browns are a team that's not afraid to take a chance, so let's get crazy. If you have Shedeur and Hunter with Jerry Jeudy, and you go get a stud running back in the 3rd or 4th round, let's go. But this is what turns it around, Mike.
Yes.
And you said, well, if the Browns like him, if they don't like him, there's enough there to like. to me, if they pass on Shedeur Sanders, then Kevin Stefanski did not have enough faith in himself to get maybe whatever it is they see that's not quite good enough out of him. And that's on him. I heard Joel Klatt say, and Joel Klatt did like every Shedeur Sanders game.
He did all
this
those
year.
games, yeah.
He's like, he basically said this is all bullshit. These narratives about him being too cocky and this and that, not good. He said it's ridiculous. Again, it's one man's opinion. He's like, the guy definitely should be drafted in the top 5.
He's Deion's kid. They're all flashy. Like he probably had a gold chain when he came out of his mother.
And I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I don't care about it in terms
I don't either.
of a negative thing. It's just so stupid.
But it's not a negative because it's never affected him.
Right.
He's never.
And his teammates love him.
No one's
some
ever said
people-
this guy's an asshole. He's a cocky son of a, whatever.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
So how do you balance what Klatt said versus what Greg Cosell said, what Sean, because everyone has their own opinion, and we've heard Jason tell us, and Zach Jackson reiterated that he talked to some scouts to have him as a second-round pick.
I don't
Other
care.
guys have him as a top 5 pick. So I'm just saying, when the Browns make this decision, and I'm going to steal Jason's line here, if their scouts believe he's a top 15 player in this draft, whatever, it's a no-brainer.
Of course
you take
it's a no-brainer.
him. If they don't, then I go with the Hunter route, but I'm trusting whatever the scouts say in the Browns organization, not what Greg Cosell says, not what Joel Klatt says, not what Sean King says. The people who are getting paid by Jimmy Haslam and that organization to determine whether or not he could be a franchise quarterback, if they give me the thumbs up, that pick's coming in 30 seconds when they tell you.
I don't know that they've done a particularly good job to trust them over the last 5 years, but who knows?
Who else are you going to trust?
Well,
in that
you
sense?
got no other choice. Let's go. I mean, I just don't see how you look at a kid who's prepared for the spotlight more than anybody else, who's a leader, who has a good attitude, who has not been a problem on and off the field, who is highly accurate thrower, who is a smart decision maker. He doesn't throw picks. Like, if the only beef with his game is that he's not a great deep thrower, to me that's not enough to chase me off.
Throw deep balls anyway. Like, the majority of his offensive play sheet is intermediate and short range passes.
I just feel like you can get better with footwork and just other things that the coach has got to be able to work with you on. I don't know.
Are you to the point now where you're just like, you know what, bleep it? The only thing that's going to get you excited about the Browns now and for next season is if they take a quarterback high at number 2, and that quarterback's most likely going to be Shedeur because Cam's going to go 1.
Right. Yeah. Probably yes. Now if they did,
are you overreacting right now?
I think he is.
Because I think you're in your emotions a little bit.
I agree.
Sure, yes.
Because when you went with the Hunter and Shedeur thing, that's a little fantasy
football. No, I hear you, but okay.
So I just want to I want to rein you in a little bit here.
All right. So in terms of excitement level, if they drafted Hunter at 2 and then drafted one of these other quarterbacks at 33, I'd still have a level of excitement. Right. Sure.
Let's put it in context. If they go Sanders 2. And then you could pick whatever position at 33. Is that a 10 out of 10 on excitement? Just your personal 10 out of 10.
Yes.
If they go Hunter 2 and a quarterback at 33,
I'll still
whatever
get
name
like
you
an
want.
8.
And then if they
9.
go Carter at 2 and then whoever, you're out. Okay.
0.
Okay.
If Carter, I'm bored, I'm going to sleep. I'm not interested. We're doing a live show that night, I think.
We are.
Is it official?
The draft thing?
We're going to do some sort of live situation.
Yeah.
All right, I'm trying to make myself available for it.
Yeah, good. Yeah. But if they draft Carter, I'm going to sleep.
You're walking off the set.
Let's end the show right there. What's there to say? Wow, they got a defensive lineman. Very exciting. Browns love taking linemen.
Adam, if they take, dude, at least wait till the end of the second round.
It's not fair to him.
Who, Carter?
Yeah, but it's going to put me to sleep. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but
dude, Carter's a hell of a player.
Is he? Are we sure about that? He's only done it for 1 year. He's got bad feet, and I heard he has a bad attitude. Rumors on the street.
I think every prospect.
The narrative of every prospect can change based off of one report.
Exactly.
Or, by the way, go to every player in this draft, okay, and go on to NFL.com or whatever it is, wherever you want to watch or read your draft stuff. Just go to the negatives.
Yeah.
And just ignore the positive and be like, you know what?
No,
he only got a 17 on the Wonderlic.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Only had 11.5 sacks.
The defensive end can be a dumbass.
He led the country in tackles for loss.
He's awesome, man.
Listen, he's probably going to be a great player.
I'm
I
with
don't
you.
care. I don't want him. It's no offense to him. Let him go be a pass rusher for the Colts, and he'll get sacks, and they'll win 3 games every year. Good for them. Don't be – the Browns always F it up. Please, don't F it up this time.
They need some juice on offense. Whether it's Hunter or whether it's Sanders.
They got diet vanilla offense right now.
They need some juice. They need some explosive. They need some wow factor, some excitement. A quarterback does that by nature.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to take the quarterback, then get the best playmaker in the draft. And I saw there was some debate back and forth online yesterday of if Hunter was just a receiver, take his defensive skills out of the equation. And some people think he's a better defensive back than a receiver. So take that half out. If he was just a receiver, how would he grade up against some of the other guys? And McShay's a guy I like. Not everyone loves McShay, whatever.
Love Todd.
He has him as a 94 grade as just a receiver, the exact same grade as Garrett Wilson.
I mean,
Yeah, it was a superstar.
So
I
take that.
I think
I take that.
I kind of align with Cosell that I
Yeah.
think that it's hard to find a top end corner that can just totally lock down everybody. But I think this kid's so special. Like, what do you have? 13 touchdowns receiving last year, something like that.
And everyone says his best skills is ball skills.
Right. Well, he's not going to get his hands on the ball that
Thank
many
you.
times on defense.
Thank
So for me, if the Browns take him at 2, you have to play him on offense.
That's right.
And Barry said that.
Even if he's like a little better on defense, like I just think the amount of impact he has
Yeah.
will be diminished because of like teams can just throw away from him or he's just not involved. You know,
Yeah.
like he's not going to score touchdowns on defense.
No, not many. Like
many
you
would
said,
score?
if he's
One
a
or two?
94 grade on offense and a 97 grade on defense, I'm still playing him as offense as his primary, but I am going to use him a decent amount on defense too. Why would I not take advantage of a guy who could be 2 Pro Bowl level players in one?
Well, he's the number 1 receiver in this draft, and most regard him as the number 1 cornerback in this draft. That's an elite unicorn-like prospect. I know you don't like using the word unicorn.
Well, I'm fine in
but
this
he
case,
is in
'cause
this
in this
case.
case it actually
it is
applies.
appropriate because he's doing something that we had never seen before.
Yeah.
Brother, if they got Travis Hunter and like Milrow,
People are going to do backflips.
I would still. I said I'd be at 8 and 9. I'd be almost as excited because I love
it just gives Stefanski a lot of options,
Yes.
man, with
Yes.
his offense, and that would be something that would be exciting to watch. I think
It would be. They've got as long they have to take a quarterback at 2 or Hunter at 2. Anything else is going to be a huge bummer for me. I know there's a segment of our fan base that is old school mentality and they're conservative and they love drafting linemen and they're looking at me right now saying, "Bull, you're an idiot. This guy's going to be a next great pass rusher. You win with defense." Good for you. How's that working out? You consistently go to the playoffs with a quarterback. That's it. It's that simple. A good to great quarterback gives you a chance to win every year. Defenses ebb and flow based on the year. We see it with every really good defense, up and down. Why? Because every year, when you're on offense and you're relying on a quarterback, that's one player. Yes, the other players around him are important, but the quarterback is worth such a high percentage of that offense. On defense, it's never about one player. As good as Myles Garrett is, he's not moving the needle in terms of wins by himself. Not like a quarterback. The 20th most, the 15th best quarterback. Maybe Baker Mayfield's the 15th best quarterback in the league. He is worth more in terms of wins and losses than Myles Garrett is. There's no comparison who's the better NFL player, Myles Garrett or Baker Mayfield. It's a joke. Myles Garrett's a way better football player. Not even close. Baker Mayfield, who I'm not the biggest fan of, is worth more to Tampa Bay in terms of wins and losses than Myles Garrett is to the Browns. And he's the 13th or 15th or 16th best quarterback, whatever it is.
Denver had the best defense in football this year.
Yeah, they're not going to have it this
It
year.
would shock me.
Yes.
Shock me if they
No.
had the best defense in football
Exactly.
next year. And you made a point about Shedeur, I think before the show. I'm not sure you actually mentioned it here.
Yeah.
If they take Shedeur
Right.
and he's not good and they're in the market for a quarterback again next year,
Yeah.
well, it'll be with a new head coach and a new general manager because
Probably.
I understand some of the things
Yeah.
that Jimmy Haslam said earlier this week and how it may give us some sense of security for those two. But if they suck and they're in the draft looking for a quarterback again in 2026, it'll be with a new regime, and the new regime will want to cut ties with everything in the past and move on. The downside of missing on a quarterback that high 10, 15 years ago before the new draft scale was crippling. We've seen example after example, Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray, the most recent, where a team took a guy in the top 10 and drafted a guy number 1 overall the next year. You can get out of that contract. It's not that debilitating. And the Browns know
It's not
about
debilitating at all.
The Browns know about debilitating quarterback contracts.
Right,
They're
right.
dealing with one right now.
Yeah.
Taking Shedeur at the second pick. If it doesn't pan out, so be it. Move on and find a new guy next year.
Yeah.
That is marbles compared to the quarterback situation and
That's right.
cap disaster because of
That's
it they've
right.
been in the last 4 or 5
And
years.
as long as you see there's a chance, like, I think most people, even when you talk about Greg Cosell, who had him a little lower or whatever, all those guys will tell you, yeah, I think he's going to be a good quarterback in the league. I think there's some concern. Can he be that top
the
level?
The ceiling's the question.
And if he's not, then eventually you'd have to make a decision like you did with Baker Mayfield. And that's a unique circumstance. But, man, I'd rather get myself a good quarterback than a great defensive lineman.
One last point on that. How many points more? But Bo Nix had the exact same questions last year. It was, Bo Nix played 3,000 college games. Dustin, did you ever call a Bo Nix game?
I did not, actually.
Which is shocking.
Which is surprising.
Yeah.
But because he was at Auburn and, of course, Oregon.
And then Oregon, yeah.
Somewhere else, too?
No, just Auburn and Oregon, yeah.
Yeah.
And he played, I think, literally 65 college games. He
broke
the record.
Football, man.
And it was, we know Bo Nix, he might be good. He has a chance to be a solid quarterback, but how much better can he get because he's 25 or 20, whatever however old he was. Do we know his ceiling? Well, Denver took him with the 12th pick last year.
He's great.
A lot of people consider that a reach at the 12th pick. Turned out to a pretty damn good rookie season. And Denver, will they win a Super Bowl with Bo Nix? Who the hell knows? But they are certainly in a spot that is much more advantageous to chasing playoff wins and championships and division titles than they were without Bo Nix and that draft pick last season. So take a swing.
Yeah,
it's got to be an offensive player, though.
That's it. I mean, I understand the general philosophy. Thank you, Anthony, of taking the best player available. And in general, I agree with that philosophy. But quarterback skews the whole thing. And the only other thing that skews the whole thing is a player that can play both. Because that never happens. So the guy may be the best prospect in the draft, probably is, and he plays both. So if for some reason you just can't see it with Shedeur Sanders, to me, it's an absolute no-brainer to take Travis Hunter. I just hope the Browns see it that way. We'll find out in 22 days.
I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah, it's time to get it done. We got another Browns thing to talk about. Go ahead, Anthony.
Hey, guys, before we get to our next topic, I want to remind everybody that this show is brought to you by Living for We podcast. Guys, what happens when a regular day at school turns into the worst day of your life? Unfortunately, that's the reality happening way too frequently in today's world, and gun violence is the leading cause of death among young people in America. In communities of color, the impact is even greater. Every bullet fired creates two victims, the person in front of the gun and the one pulling the trigger. Living for We, Keep Your Head Up podcast is an award-winning podcast that focuses on real stories, real struggles, and real solutions in Northeast Ohio. New episodes drop every other Tuesday where you'll hear from Marlene Harris-Taylor and her new co-host, Maisha Watkins, Executive Director of Cleveland Peacemakers. No one does the job better of bringing you stories from the front lines, victims, survivors, and those fighting for change. Each episode, we sit down with a different organization that's working to end gun violence and provide resources for those affected by gun violence. Whatever kind of help you need, there's a person for you to contact. Listen to Living for We wherever you get your podcasts or watch the video version on IdeaStream's YouTube channel. Learn more at ideastream.com/podcasts Living for We. Subscribe to the Living for We podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you, Anthony. So yesterday, it was announced that in the state budget, go ahead, you got something there? Okay. From our buddy Daryl Ryder. Dangerous Daryl. Ohio. Daryl is all over this. He's obsessed with this stuff. He loves it.
He is the number one.
And people give him a hard time because he has come off as an apologist for the owner. I know Daryl. He's not an apologist for the owner. He's been critical of the politicians, and I get it. I think both sides have behaved poorly, both the Haslams and the Cleveland politicians on this situation. As I said yesterday, I think it's a lot of saber rattling and neither side's being genuine. The politicians don't want to be the group that lost the Browns from downtown Cleveland. And this idea that Jimmy and his group are throwing out, like, this is good for businesses and the people. I mean, come on, it's bad for the businesses of Cleveland. That being said, we all knew this was happening. This idea that they were going to stay in the stadium and redo the stadium and fix it up, stop it. Yesterday you mentioned, I saw the clip today of the Kelsey brothers, and we all love the Kelsey brothers saying, it's got to be outside, it's got to be downtown. And Jason admitted at the end, he was like, I haven't lived in Cleveland in a while. And I think the majority of people are in favor of this idea.
Yeah.
I don't love that they're putting $600,000 in the state budget for this.
$600 million.
Sorry, $600 million. Big
difference.
$600 million in the state budget. I don't know. I don't know where it's coming from exactly. Do you have where it's coming from?
So I did some research on this, and let me preface.
Our state is one of the lowest in the country in terms of education.
I'll get to that. So let me preface. I'm not an expert. I just read 4 articles this morning.
Yeah.
I took notes, so I'm going to be reading directly from these articles because I hope I have an understanding of what they're doing.
Yeah.
So basically, Governor DeWine had proposed a budget where they double the gambling tax, basically, and that would help pay for the stadium.
Right. Now, he's disingenuous with that because he made the point of saying, well, that'll be on the sports books. They'll have to pay it. And technically, he's right, but the sports books, are they going to put it on the customers? So.
Exactly.
But at least that's a choice you make as opposed to just coming out of the general budget.
So they scrapped that.
Yeah.
That is not happening.
Yes.
Instead, and this is directly from the WKYC article, Ohio is setting aside the authority to issue $600 million in bonds to help pay for the dome. So it's $600 million in bonds, which does not directly come from anything else yet. However, according to the Fair School Funding Plan, data from 2021, Ohio schools K through 12 would need about $667 million to be fully funded. Based on inflation and 2025 data, according to the Fair School Funding Plan, the number to fully fund schools K through 12 in the state of Ohio would be close to $800 million. In this new proposed budget they just put out, school funding is $226 million.
Yeah, that's a disgrace.
It's about $600 million less than what it needs to be fully funded. And that $600 million is what's
It's a disgrace. The politicians of this country treat education in a disgusting manner. We're bottom 10 in the country in education, and already as a country, amongst first world countries, we're way too low. There's too many smart people in this country for us to be this bad education-wise, but that's another story for another day. I hate any public money going to it. You're giving a billionaire money. He has the money to pay for all this himself. And he would have eventually if the politicians didn't cave. But they always do because the billionaire always gets their way.
That's
I have
a
a
question. The NFL has never made more money than it's making right now. Revenue is through the roof. TV ratings have literally never been higher. They're trying to expand to play games in South America, Mexico, Europe. They're talking about bringing the NFL on a global basis.
And don't forget, they're about, in the next 5 years at the most, they're going up to 18 games.
Yes, and so it's not stopping.
Yeah.
Why can't the NFL help some of these owners pay for the stadium?
Mike, there's a reason these guys that own these teams are all billionaires.
I know, because they're crude businessmen and they take advantage of the little
guy.
But
they're billionaires because they don't spend their own money. They get other people to give them money. But it's the craziness of our society.
But the Browns building this palace for Jimmy is going to end up making more money than they could possibly imagine.
Right.
So
it will not benefit. It will benefit. Listen, it's going to be a much nicer stadium, a lot of amenities. So the fans that can afford to go to this stadium are going to benefit from that perspective.
I'm gonna love it.
You're going to love it. People that got some money are going to love it. You know, you're going to get. But a lot of regular folks are not going to be able to go because it's going to be too expensive. And nobody's like, the jobs that are going to lead based on this. I mean, nobody's making a killing.
But I'm saying, why can't the NFL help?
Because they don't want to. Why would they when they always get the government to pay for it?
It's what human nature should be.
They don't care, Mike.
Human nature, bro? What are you talking about? There's no human nature.
This is America.
I know, but I'm just like, they're taking
they don't do the right
hundreds of
thing.
$1 million from schools.
They don't
to
care.
set aside to potentially pay.
They don't care.
I know they don't care. I'm saying that's the issue.
It's horrible, but they don't care, and most people don't care. They don't care. It's sad. It's what it is. I'm gonna complain about it, and then we're gonna see this beautiful stadium. We're all gonna forget about it. Nobody's gonna care.
I'm gonna enjoy the stadium.
That the kids in Cleveland and the kids in Akron and the kids in Canton and Dayton and Toledo and Columbus and Cincinnati are not gonna be. They're not gonna get school lunches anymore. They're not gonna get breakfast. The pre-K they'll have to pay for. All these things for people who can't afford it, so Jimmy can get a free $600 million. But nobody cares.
Well, it's not that we don't care. What are we going to do? I mean,
well,
what are we going to do?
If enough people cared, these things wouldn't happen. But
I'm with Dustin.
But I'm sitting here with two sports guys talking about sports, and what am I supposed to do about this $600 million?
There's nothing we can do about it right now. There really isn't. But it
stinks. I'd love to see my kids have better opportunities with the schools, and the other kids have opportunities in the lunches and all those things you're talking about. No one's sitting here not agreing with that.
Well, I would.
Well, I'm saying three of us
at this table.
At this round table, no.
Yeah, no. But it is what
But
it
you
is.
know me, dude. I'm not going to lose sleep over this.
How could you? You got to keep moving on with
and
your
to
life
your
if you're going
point,
to lose sleep
I'm going to
over
love
everything.
the stadium.
What?
The stadium's going to be incredible.
In the end, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to take advantage of it because we won't have to pay to go, and that's it. And it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be exciting, and it's going to lead to some events there, and all the rest will be forgotten.
Yeah, I mean that's the reality situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go. You know what? And I'll go to games in December now.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
Because
This
I'll be able to walk in and take my coat off.
Yeah, this idea of it's manly or an advantage to be able to
hell
play
outta
in
here.
freezing cold weather is insane. I obviously the majority of fans want this to happen, so it's going to happen. So that's the good part is ultimately people want this stadium, and in 2029 that we're going to have it.
29. Yeah.
So if this budget gets approved, which it will,
Where does it go next? Does it go to the state senate and then?
yeah. Well, yes, it's going to pass both the Senate and the House in Ohio. Both are the same party, so it's going to get passed, and then it'll go to DeWine, who's also the same party as the people that run the House and the Senate. He has been known to stand up to his party a little bit, and he could veto it, but my guess is he won't in this case. Even if he did veto it, I think there's a certain percentage that they can override the veto, which I think they have enough to override. But the people opposing this will not be enough to stop it, and it will pass. So that's that. And in the end, like I said, I'm going to whine about it here for 10 minutes and then on to the next thing.
It sucks.
But
it is what it is.
Listen, it's still going to be cool once it's done.
It's going to be incredible.
And Jimmy said that they're going to start breaking ground, I believe he said beginning of 26.
Q1 26.
Yeah. So everybody could drive around near the airport there. It is really, I'll tell you one thing I think that's really cool about this stadium, and I'm sure there are other stadiums like this. I can't think of
the
off the top of my head.
underground?
Yeah, you're going to go, like the level that's street level is going to be above the field.
Yeah.
Because
they're going to dig down.
yeah, they have to
It says
because they're right near
FAA.
the airport.
FAA right
Otherwise,
now.
it would be too high.
Too high. Okay.
Yeah. So
That's cool. I mean, a lot of. Have you ever been to Michigan Stadium in
No.
Ann Arbor?
No.
It's
Is that in?
Very funny. So you'll drive
Yeah.
like down the main road next to it,
Yeah.
and the stadium's like 20 feet off the ground
that is bizarre.
or whatever. I mean, it's
Yeah,
probably a
yeah,
little more
yeah.
than that, but it's not that much.
Yeah, that doesn't look big.
kinda like that,
and
too.
you go in, it's like
Yeah.
Neyland's kind of like that in Tennessee too.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but that's what the Browns are going to do.
I think
In the
SoFi.
renderings, you could see it. That
Yeah.
you walk in and you're kind of in the middle of the stadium.
You walk into the mid concourse.
Right.
And there's one level
Which is
above
cool.
you and a level or
And
maybe
it's
two
not.
levels below.
It's actually in terms of, and I don't know. Like obviously they're going to add more roads and stuff, but it seems like that area by the airport is kind of pretty convenient to get to.
Well, it's easy, I think, because of all the highways.
Yeah, you got a lot of highways converging there.
And it's not like, the stadium downtown is so difficult to get to.
Yeah.
There's nothing really close around the stadium either. Like in terms of bars and restaurants, you got to go from West 6th all the way, that's a hike,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
And then you got to go down the hill. And then after the game, the hike back up, it's brutal.
Have you been to either of you guys been to the Patriots Stadium?
I have.
But have you been like in the whole
area around it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what this is going to be like,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
I remember.
It's awesome.
I remember I went
I
to
was
a
up there for
wedding
a
in
training camp.
Boston once. It wasn't football season, and I stayed at the hotel by the football stadium. I'm like, oh, this is so weird. There's a
Yeah.
football stadium in this
Yeah.
They
giant shopping
built
mall.
a town around the
Yeah,
stadium.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what this'll be.
So,
That's what this'll be.
and that'll be cool. And there'll be shops, and there'll be high-end apartments, and all these things. It'll be like a Crocker Park, which is obviously really nice.
And actually, it's actually closer for me from my house.
It's
like
closer for
20.
you,
It's like
yeah.
24 minutes.
Yeah, for me, it's really equidistant.
Yeah. I'd much rather go to an area like that.
Yeah.
I was a kid when the Richfield Coliseum was in existence.
Right.
It was crazy. We just actually were driving through Richfield the other day, and I totally forgot where it's nothing now. It's just a field.
That is bizarre.
But
yeah.
when we were kids, it was very easy to get to.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm excited about this.
Yeah. All right, 2029.
Yeah, man.
It is. All right, Anthony, let's switch it up.
All right, guys, before our next topic, one more NFL topic. I
Yeah.
want to remind you guys that Earl did a brand new 216 this morning. He went over 2 different mock drafts that had the Browns selecting multiple players in the first round, including one of them being an offensive lineman. So go check out him and Cecil going over those mock drafts this morning on the 216.
Dude, if the Browns draft an offensive lineman at 2,
No. They traded back into the first.
Oh,
to take
okay.
one.
I
Don't
still
spoil
don't
the
like
episode,
that.
Mike.
Well, he said taking it too. I'll tell you,
God.
don't worry, there was not an offensive lineman.
I still don't like
it.
the idea of trading back and taking an offensive lineman.
Listen to Earl and Cecil.
They were in favor of it or no?
Go listen to the episode.
All right.
Go listen.
We'll check it out. All right. So I forgot what we're talking about here, Anthony.
All right, so we're
Chain gang.
The NFL has changed another
sorry.
rule. Go for it, Bull.
So yes, this was really cool. I love this, guys.
I hate
so if you hate it?
You're nuts. You're out of your mind.
This is
dude.
my only old man take.
Okay, let me explain it, and
Yeah.
then you can tell me why you hate it. So for those who didn't see
And then I
this,
need Dustin's expertise on
yeah,
this.
for those who didn't see this news, amongst the rule changes, we talked about some of them yesterday. This one, I guess, popped up a little later in the day. The method to measuring first downs in the NFL will switch from chain gangs to camera-based technology in 2025. The traditional chain crew will remain on the sideline just in case the power goes down on the thing or whatever it is. They'll still be there for show, essentially, most of the time. But they're using the Hawkeye technology, which I believe they use for tennis, right? Isn't that what they use?
They do.
Okay. Now, tennis is a little more straightforward because there's nothing blocking the ball as opposed to there being 20-something bodies on the field with the ball. Yeah. And they did try it, I believe, last preseason.
They did, yeah.
And I think there were mixed results. But obviously, they've improved the technology, and I love it. And obviously, you love it. But let's start with you, who's against it.
If this is as seamless and flawless as the Hawkeye in tennis,
Yeah.
I am all in.
Right.
If this is going to slow down the game with more reviews, I am out. Sports is a human game. Humans play it. Kenny Atkins said after the game last Thursday against the Spurs, when we had 4 reviews in the third quarter and then 2 more in the fourth quarter, and the complete flow of the game was negated to a screeching standstill, that he'd rather sacrifice 1 or 2 calls here or there to just get the game flowing. Because the best part of a sport, from a fan perspective, is when you get this back and forth, when it's not being stopped for random timeouts and useless stoppages in the third quarter. Did it deflect off Dustin's fingernail in quadruple XL slow motion? It went off Dustin. Yeah. It is what it is. For the most part, I don't like the robot umpires in baseball. I like the human element. In basketball, I would get rid of all challenges. If a ref gets a call wrong, he gets a call wrong. I like the human element of sports. In tennis, I love the Hawkeye. Why? It takes half a second to get the call right. If this is the Hawkeye, I'm in. If this is going to lead to more pointless reviews, I'm out.
My understanding is if they're using the Hawkeye technology, it uses multiple camera angles and the technology. By the way, this technology has been around for like 25 years.
Yeah.
So this is not like new. This is not something that like the Hawkeye technology in tennis is like 99% accurate.
And it works instantly.
I'm sure that's how it's going to work in football, where they get the instant result and know exactly to the wherever to put the ball.
If that's the case, I'm in.
And the thing about it, like in tennis, is okay. It says it's out, and they show you the little mark where the ball, and it's like the players can't argue it.
Keep it moving.
It's the same for every player in every match, and you know it is interesting because the human element is crazy. Like in tennis, if you look at a ball from a different angle, it looks in and it looks out.
Yeah.
And these umpires that would call these balls, because at Wimbledon, this is or Roland Garros, I believe this year. One of the 2 tournaments is now going to add electric Hawkeye this year.
Oh, I thought everyone had.
No,
one
of them, it might have been Wimbledon, was the last one because they had line judges. I think they're going to go to the Hawkeye this year, but it's great, and the players can't bitch about it. You know, sometimes you do have some issues with it. That's why you have the backup chain gang, and same thing for tennis, where they would sometimes they can't review it, but no, it works seamlessly. It's flawless technology once everyone agrees upon that, hey, it works, no one questions it.
Yeah, that's it. Although as a kid, I did love listening to McEnroe scream at the umpire.
You can't be serious!
He had some classic moments.
That was a great call.
Mike, your take is one of the 17 worst takes of all time.
It might be my only old man take.
You're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I never thought I would use that expression, but there it is.
I don't even know what that means. That's such an old phrase.
It's an old. The point is, like, you don't like that there's delays, and nobody likes delays. You've got to fix that, not get rid of replay. The answer is not to get rid of replay, it's to make it quicker.
Mikey, but the replays in basketball take in human element. Because there's these referees go looking at the monitors and deciding what happens. This is not going to be any of that.
That's what I'll say is the challenges in basketball, I could listen to a debate. It's not as good in basketball because the play is so quick. In football and baseball, there's time to – in football, there's after pretty much every play, there's at least 20, 30 seconds to straighten something out. In basketball, the play keeps going, so it's a little tricky. I get it. And the system they use in basketball is terrible. I'll never understand in all sports why they send the official to go look at it. Why? I've said it 1,000 times.
Secaucus looks at every replay of every game. Just have them tell you. Yes.
It should be better than that.
Sky judge.
There should be a sky judge in every arena. And for football, we talked about it. There's billions of dollars in the NFL.
Yes.
Why is there not a sky judge at every football stadium?
Agreed.
Forget what can be challenged and what can't. The sky judge looks at every play. If there's an obvious mistake in 20 seconds, he corrects it. If there's not, he doesn't. It's that simple. And
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Replay assist, man.
My issue is not with replay. My issue is the pacing of the game and how it changes. And with this new technology, if it gives you that instantaneous, hey, he got the first down, he didn't, I'm fine.
Well,
I take it back.
But here's the
But
flaw.
if they have to go to the replay and we have to get a TV commercial so the referee can go over,
Mike,
and just like in basketball, whether
that's not the case.
Okay, and
I'm saying, and that's why I said if that is the case,
here's the
Dustin, I
problem.
will refrain.
Here's the problem with your
retract
argument.
My take.
Is that when you're talking about whether they got a first down or not, those things are already holding up the game. You got to take out the chains to measure in most of those cases.
I know, and like I said, I like the drama.
Who cares
of
about
it.
the stupid
I like the
human element?
I like these 65-year-old guys having to run on the
the
field.
index
Heart
card.
attack.
Do you remember how good of a moment that index card was when you had to slide it between the chain and?
It's so dumb.
Man.
Plus, you
It
can't.
adds to the drama, though. I'm
Yeah.
with Mike on this one.
No,
If
no.
you're just doing a video review, it's not as dramatic.
We want to get it right. Who cares about we have fans are complaining all the time that they don't get those things right. Now they'll get up,
It was cool.
get it right.
It was cool back in 1987
Sure.
when we didn't have 10K
Yeah.
HD televisions
That's
where
right.
you can literally see.
I know.
Oh, they effed that up, man.
It makes no
The
sense.
Josh Allen play in the Chiefs game would have never happened.
Right.
I mean, they had
That's
the
right.
first down.
It makes no sense that we, sitting on our couches at home, have a better understanding of the result of the play
Bingo.
than the refs.
Bingo.
That's crazy.
Bingo.
It is totally crazy. Again, I get what you're saying about pace. You got to be able to make. When they start looking at replays to see an index finger touching the ground, if we get at, that's it. Cutoff point. 30 seconds. Move on.
You weren't here Friday.
Yeah.
I had an idea. Were you here Friday, Dustin?
I was not.
My idea to how to speed up replays. This was in response to the Spurs-Cavs game with 4 reviews. Put a tight shot on the referee's face, football, basketball, whatever. And each time he watches a replay, you reveal a personal fact about him. And each replay gets a little more severe and a little more severe. And by like the 6th, 7th replay, you're giving out credit card numbers, you're giving out social, which should be an incentive for the referee. If I can't tell if the first one, just call stands. And it continues. So you go 4 replays in the game. By that 4th replay, even if you only watch one each time, we're getting to the 4th fact. 12, you're fired.
I think there's other things I'd rather change about the NBA. I loved our guy, who was Tom Haberstroh.
Yeah.
Love the idea of cutting
good.
down the season to 58 games or whatever it is.
Never will happen.
I think if you flop, you get kicked out of the game.
I'm
I
fine with
hate
that.
flopping in the NBA.
I'm fine with that.
How about LeBron? Did you see this? LeBron says he doesn't flop, which is insane that he would say that. And then the next day there's a video of him with an all-time flop.
Yeah, he does it all the
Hey,
time.
by the way, did you guys stay up and watch that game last night?
The Jokic?
Yeah.
That was absurd.
In fact, let's get to the NBA now. I know you don't have to do a read, Anthony. Before we get to the Cavs.
Because I was going to go to bed last night,
Yeah.
and I turned this game on.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Unbelievable.
I heard there was somebody
It
saying.
sucked the way it ended, though.
It did.
Yes.
The most Westbrook ending of all time.
Dude, he is such a
Of
clown.
all time.
And by the way,
Missing the layup and then
do you
fouling.
know that your boy had the Nuggets money line?
Oh, God.
Dude,
Oh, my God.
I had live bet this so perfectly, where I took like the T-Wolves when they were like down, I don't know, 6 points or something. They come back, they take the lead, cash out,
Smart.
then take the Nuggets. And
gonna double dip?
I was going to double dip.
And it went away.
Yeah, I still made money, but it was kind of funny. But you see the end of the game? Westbrook?
Yes, I saw the highlights. I
God,
wasn't watching
what
it.
What
Yeah,
a
yeah.
buffoon.
Westbrook's actually been really good
He's
in Denver
fine.
overall,
He's
but
fine.
last night he.
But he misses the layup. You should never have took the layup. You pull the ball back out. You have the
Yeah.
lead. That's so dumb. And then he fouls the 3-pointer.
Yeah,
with
that was
no time.
That was
Yeah.
crazy.
You can't write a worse ending.
Oh my
That's
God.
funny because technically I think the foul was committed after the clock hit 0, didn't it? But it
No,
it
they
counted.
put.
They said there was
they
point one
They
still
put
on there.
.7 on the clock. Or
I thought it
.4.
just counted because the basket counts if it goes in. So
Well, if he doesn't get it off in time.
yeah, I
then
guess
it wouldn't
no.
count.
But I thought the shot got off in time, but the
Oh, but he
actual
fouled him
foul
after,
happened
yeah.
after the clock hit 0. But I don't know if that
Well,
matters.
it's still, yeah.
Because the shot got off.
Ball
in
could
time.
leave your hand and you
Right.
get smacked. It's still a foul.
Which is just nuts. And let's face it, Jokic is already a top 10 player in the history of the NBA.
Yeah.
No?
He's right in that
If
fringe.
he were
8
not,
to 12.
here's the problem with Jokic. It seems like he doesn't care.
He doesn't.
He plays with no emotion, or at least no outward emotion. He's a Euro, and he is ignored. If LeBron, and LeBron's 40, so maybe that's not fair. So if
Steph
LeBron had done what he did last night, it would have been a much bigger story.
I mean, yeah, was 60?
61. Steph had 50 last night on like 9 of 12 from 3. Steph had a crazy
Yeah.
game. They beat the Grizzlies, who just fired their coach.
Yeah.
And I slept like 20 minutes last night, just couldn't fall asleep, so I watched the 5 a.m. Sports Center like three times
yeah.
in a row.
I went to bed at like 1:30. I got up at 5. I was on a court at 6, but I was like, I was trying to go to bed early, man.
More productive than I was, but they spent more time on the Warriors game than they did on the
Right, 'cause-
incredible Jokic.
And again,
Edwards.
Jokic doesn't move the
Yeah, I know.
needle in America like other players.
But if LeBron, if Giannis,
Yeah.
if Durant had a 60-point
right.
effort, like
Yeah.
and Edwards after the game said that is the best basketball game I've ever been a part of. Jokic isn't
yeah.
human.
He is.
He's not. It's absurd.
Is he the best player of your life besides LeBron? Or you got Kobe ahead of him?
Tim Duncan's still ahead of him.
Really? I don't have Tim Duncan.
You said, is he the best player of my lifetime?
Besides LeBron, yes.
I mean,
Well, I'm not counting MJ.
Are you going to count MJ?
No.
or
Because how old were you when he was in his?
Jordan?
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah, you're getting older now.
Dude, I watched all of Jordan's career.
I meant in Mike's lifetime.
I still have
Let's say in the last.
Remember Jordan at all?
no.
Let's say in the last 25
That
years.
stinks for you, man.
Last 25 years, he the
My
best
only
player
memory
besides LeBron. He's better than
It's-
Durant, isn't he?
Yeah, he's better than Durant.
He's better than
Duncan, I still have Duncan because Duncan was an elite defensive player, and the NBA was
But
different
he
back
couldn't
then.
score like this.
could-
No.
I saw what's his
I
name?
still have Duncan ahead
Justin
of him.
Termini from NBA.
Yeah.
He said he was talking about. I can't remember
And
who
Steph's
was
in that conversation,
He was
too.
talking about the guys who. There's only been like 4 guys in the history of the game, maybe 5, that were the best scorer and best passer in the league at the same time. LeBron, Jokic, Bird, and maybe like Rick. I think it was Rick Barry. Maybe I can't remember. It was 4 or 5 guys. Which like to be the best scorer and the best passer in the league is insane.
I don't know if he's best scorer.
He's not.
Jokic?
I mean,
He just doesn't look sexy.
I know he's incredible, but I don't know if he's the best
He's
scorer. in
doppy
basketball.
looking. Is that the word? Doppy.
Dopey.
Yeah,
No, not dopey, but
Doppy's
doppy.
Doppy.
And he's a white dude,
He's
and he's
gangly,
Europe-y.
He's
Europe-y.
he does everything just kind of
He's
like
incredible. You know, he's
moves.
literally
Some of these
incredible.
passes he makes.
It's unbelievable.
How did he even know somebody was there?
He has 6 eyes. He's in the Mount Rushmore echelon
Yeah.
of the best passers
So
in
who are
basketball.
you? Since in the last 25 years, who are you putting ahead of him?
I still have Duncan ahead of him.
LeBron. You putting Kobe ahead of
LeBron.
him?
You're nuts for putting Duncan ahead of him, dude.
I think
No.
you're nuts too, but all right.
No, no, you guys-
I think you're reaching.
You guys
but-
are lost on this one.
Duncan it was a great defender. You're right, and Duncan also not a sexy player, so
Yeah.
he didn't get as much hype either.
And
'cause he's
Duncan
not
Duncan
sexy
could have
either.
scored more if he wanted to.
Probably could
He
have.
was deferential.
Probably could have.
He was also the best player on 4 championship teams.
Was he the best for the first one, or was Robinson better?
Same
First
tier, and then he was definitely the best in the next 3.
Dude, I honestly think I trust Jokic in a big spot to get a bucket more than LeBron.
I can't put him ahead of LeBron.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm saying
Yeah.
I'm just right now. I don't know.
I mean, LeBron's had to play in way more big moments than Jokic to this point. Obviously, he's got a lot more time, but
He's up there. He's up there.
what about Kobe's? Nobody's answered this.
Oh, I do. But I got a spot here for Kobe.
Yeah. You taking Kobe or Jokic? I think
I'm taking Kobe.
I think I'd probably put Jokic third. I would go LeBron, Jokic, Kobe, then Jokic for me.
I have Duncan ahead of Kobe on my all-time ranking. So
Duncan ahead of Kobe.
yeah. Wow. I think y'all are sleeping on how good Tim Duncan was.
No,
For a
I mean he's an
prolonged
all-time
stretch.
great. I'm with you, but okay.
He was a walking 24-12 and 3 blocks for 12
How
straight
many
years.
MVPs does Durant have? 2?
KD is the one with the Thunder.
He has the one where mom's
I think
the
always-
real.
yeah, I think always one
Yeah, but
MVP.
Kobe's only got 1 MVP, which is a
Yeah,
joke.
MVP's
That
whatever.
is a joke.
Whatever.
I mean,
Steve Nash
Steve
has
Nash
two.
has. I mean, that's.
He's one of the 4 best players I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Kobe Or
Kobe
Jokic?
and Jokic both are in the top.
Oh, so you
4.
got him 4.
I
or
have him
3.
and Kobe. You asked me depending.
3A,
on the day.
3B?
Yeah, I'll go back and forth on that.
Yeah, I mean,
Is Jokic the best European player of all time in the NBA?
have to be.
In the NBA?
Who's been better?
Do you
Nobody.
consider Hakeem Olajuwon?
He's not European.
Well, it's international.
Yeah.
Oh, international.
I don't know, man. I'm just trying to think about some of the guys.
I mean,
Yeah,
at this
there's
point, I'd have to
nobody.
say Jokic is better than Hakeem, and I loved Hakeem. He was one of my favorite players when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think he's the best. I think he's the
he
best
better than
non-American ever.
Better than Shaq?
Shaq's American.
No,
I'm talking about European players or just a non-American player.
Non-American player, I don't see who's better. I don't even know who you'd make an argument for.
I mean, is there a chance one day Luka could be better?
I guess.
He's got to win. He's got to win first. To
You
be
know,
in that.
Luka, and the only argument. I mean, I feel like Hakeem was the best non-American before.
Yeah, that's where my mind keeps going.
that I
to.
can think of. I know, but he didn't come. What's his name? Arvydas Sabonis was really good, but he didn't come to America until he was a lot older.
He doesn't have the NBA career
No.
to stack up.
But he was kind of a freak back in the day.
He was Jokic before
He was a
Jokic.
big hulking guy
Yeah.
who was a great passer, but he was kind of broken down a little bit by the time he came to the NBA. Oh, we're forgetting about Dirk Nowitzki.
No, I thought about Dirk.
Jokic is ahead of Dirk.
But he's
That's not close.
yeah. I mean,
That's not close.
Is Dirk ahead of Hakeem?
Dirk's number 2.
Ahead of Hakeem?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I don't know.
I go Hakeem.
Yeah, maybe it's close. Maybe we're forgetting somebody else. Who would you have? Shaq? I would take Jokic over Shaq.
No,
Personally,
no chance. Not for me.
I think I would.
Go watch some Shaq highlights when he was in his heyday, dude.
Listen, nobody's insulting Shaq.
No,
The
I
guy's
know.
amazing,
I know, but I mean it. I mean, it's
Nobody was more like he was
the most physically dominating player I've ever seen.
Yes.
Was, but
Period.
don't you feel like he should have been even better?
And that's why I
Maybe.
give Jokic the slight edge.
Yeah, but dude, go watch him when he played for the Magic. Like his first,
It was ridiculous.
First 8 years in the league.
I mean, in college, it was just
The LSU days were
yeah.
ridiculous. I mean,
How did
everything
Christian
he did.
Laettner get on the team besides Shaq over Shaq in the Dream Team? That was kind of crazy.
That was when they it was like an alternate or something, right? It was like they took a college player.
right.
Yeah.
But why did they take Laettner instead of Shaq?
Because Laettner was the 4-year Duke.
I
Poster
know,
boy.
and he was a great college player,
Yeah.
but
Tyvis wants to know, has anybody mentioned Giannis?
it's a great point.
Yeah,
we haven't mentioned Giannis.
we forgot.
He's not in that. He's not.
But he's not as good as
he's not.
He's not as good as Jokic,
No.
but he's probably number 2.
I mean, he's
Then Dirk.
I mean, right? It would be Hakeem, Jokic, Dirk, Giannis, and I guess Luka would be your top 5.
Yeah.
There's definitely someone else.
There's probably other guys we're not thinking
In
of. We weren't planning on.
I'm gonna look it up while we're
That's
going.
interesting conversation because
Yeah.
we forget. And honestly, man, like I was watching that game last night, I sort of forgot like how good this guy is.
Yeah, because how often do you watch him play?
He's just such a nondescript guy, and like it's almost painful to watch him just run up and down the court because he just like lumbers, you know.
He looks so like a not. If somebody
looks like I'm just running like this.
if somebody.
I think Jokic forgets how good he is.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes,
if you were in a coma the last decade and you woke up and you just watched him play
5 minutes, watch
and
him
you
for 5
said,
minutes, just
this
watch
guy's
him run.
the best player in the NBA, people will be like, what? What are you talking about?
He is worth every dollar the price of admission if he comes to your town. When he comes to Cleveland next year, it is worth going. It is worth paying for good seats because seeing him up close, the way he moves around, the physicality he plays with, which you don't necessarily see on TV.
Yeah.
The dude sets some of the hardest, most lumbering screens.
Yeah.
He gets whacked. Look at the back of his tricep. He has essentially a scar in the back of his tricep because every game someone slashes him, doesn't get the foul call, he's bleeding. He's a grizzly bear. People we may have missed.
And he's got those two brothers. One of them is like.
They both are.
psycho-
Yao
I
Ming,
I think they both are.
Ginobili, Steve Nash. If we're going international guys. Nash is-
Ginobili, Steve, but none of those guys, neither Ginobili or Steve Nash are in this class. Excellent.
Ginobili's not, but Steve Nash
Steve
is up
Nash
there.
is not in this class. Come on, he's a Hall of Famer, but he's not this level.
I mean,
To me, he's a tier 2 Hall of Famer.
you look at some of the guys we just mentioned at the end of that list. Like,
You're not taking. I'm taking
No.
Dirk over Steve Nash.
no, he's not.
I'm
he's
taking
not.
Hakeem over Steve Nash.
I was saying like Luka. Like, is it too early to put Luka up
Yeah,
there?
I guess so. Yes.
That was more of my
I'm
thing.
taking
like,
Giannis over Steve Nash.
Yeah, well, Giannis has done it for
Yeah.
a decade. Yeah,
Yeah.
I am too. But Elijah Wan's the number one.
Yeah, Olajuwon.
International
I mean,
guy.
I loved Olajuwon. He was an old school scoring center.
I didn't watch him, so
Yeah,
Jokic
he
is the
scored-
best I've seen.
If he had played now, who knows? Like
Yeah.
he was, he was a post center, traditional
Defensive wizard.
great defensive player, great scorer, great rebounder. Charles Barkley tells a very funny story about like Hakeem threatening to basically kill him.
That is a good story.
Yeah. So that anyway, you don't mess with Hakeem. I mean, he was a badass. But go ahead, Anthony.
I was just going to say, guys, if you wanted to get actually into the Cavs here, we're ready.
Yeah.
But before we do, I want to remind everybody, Mike, are you doing the Ultimate Cavs show this week?
Before we move on to Mike and the Ultimate Cavs, you told me the chat was buzzing a little bit about this topic, right?
Between this and the thunderstorm going on outside, they are loving this.
Oh, my God. As I got on the highway, lightning struck, like, right near me. I like, kind of jumped in my car. Is that what it looks like outside right now?
Dude, this is a really,
Are you serious?
really crazy storm. Yeah,
I guess I got to cancel Little League practice tonight.
When you get in,
it's going to clear up, dude, until later.
Yeah,
There's
but the
about
field's
4
gonna be-
severe
Oh, yeah, that's a
thunderstorm
good
warnings.
point. That's a good point.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I got here early. It was fine this
Dude,
morning.
just really quick before we move on. So last night I had my first Little League practice with the boys, and I'm feeling good about
Felt
this
good to be
team,
back?
man.
Oh, yeah?
I got 4
You got some
kids
ringer,
who can
you got some
pitch.
ringers?
4 kids who can pitch, which is very
That's rare.
That's clutch.
Well, and on like when they set up the teams, usually each team they try to give you 3 pitchers, 3 kids that can pitch, and there's a kid on my team who was not listed as a pitcher. I don't know if the kid's ever pitched before. He just came up to the higher division. He's a 5th grader, lefty. I like this kid. He was calling me sir yesterday.
That gets you in both starting rotation real quick.
I like that. Anyway,
Sir Bull.
the kid, I knew the 3 kids that could pitch because 2 of them I already knew because I coached one of them. I actually coached the other one on an all-star team. And then the 3rd kid, I knew his dad. So I knew those kids could pitch. And I thought that was going to be at 3 pitchers, which would have been fine. And they all did good because I let them pitch for the first time yesterday in practice. And then this 4th kid, his name is Luther. He's like, Coach, can I pitch? And I was like, okay, let's see what you got. The kid was throwing bullets, and he's a lefty right down the
How
middle.
hard does
Boom,
these kids throw?
Boom, boom.
Do you have an idea? 60? 60? 50?
The hardest, upper 50. We had a kid last year in the league. He wasn't on. Well, he's on my fall ball team named Anthony Graziani. He's in the 7th grade now. He's playing travel baseball. He probably threw about 60.
Okay.
But most of these kids are 11. Some are 12. But this kid Luther and this other kid, I got to remember all the names now.
John, Zach.
No.
Damien,
It's
Danny.
Leo. Those kids are only in the 5th grade, so they're only like 10 years old. But
Hey.
anyway,
Start of a dynasty.
and I got all nice kids, which I like. That's
Most
very important to me. Good bunch of boys.
We're doing an Ultimate
Yeah,
Cavs
sorry,
show
go, let's
tomorrow
move it on.
morning. No, tomorrow morning, Ultimate Cavs show. We'll react to the Knicks game tonight, plus some other stuff. But speaking of the Knicks game tonight, nationally televised
going.
game. You'll be there.
All
I'll
right.
be there.
By the way, the one game I've gone to this year was against the Nuggets.
You went to the it was the Nuggets.
was
That
the
was the game you went
Nuggets,
to.
yeah.
Yep. So you saw Jokic
Yeah.
in person. The Cavs guys yesterday
Yes.
practiced at home for the first time since the All-Star break. It is just their 2nd team practice
Does that really
since
matter?
the All-Star break.
How-
Yeah, it does matter actually.
How often are guys teams practicing this time of year?
Well, when you're going through slides, I'm sure Kenny Atkinson and company would like to get on the court and be able to fix things. Less of the
Yeah.
how much did you practice, more of the what were you able to accomplish in said practices. Kenny talked about it yesterday. They've slipped pretty dramatically defensively in the month of March. Now, granted, they played 16 games in 29 days.
Yeah.
They did not have more than 2 days of rest, or they did not have more than 1 day of rest. They had 2 once, just one time in the entire month. They practiced 1 time in the entire month. There was always game, recovery day, game, recovery
Right.
day, game, recovery day. They only slept in the same bed 2 nights in a row, 1 time in the entire trip, by the way. So just a crazy travel
that's a
schedule.
lot,
and when you're
man.
doing that, and Dustin could attest from playing in the
lot.
league, it does take a toll. The 2 things they worked on in practice yesterday were defense, getting back to their defensive principles, and
Yeah.
rebounding. And we've talked at length about how the Clippers, not this most recent matchup, but 2 matchups ago, got them on the glass. A couple teams have had success crashing from the wings. And he said they went back to some college drills, some college box out drills, which were my absolute least favorite, by the way. Those were absolutely miserable. And
I used to hate
The fact that-
basketball practice in high school.
the fact that they're getting back to the basics, and it was a short practice. It was only an hour yesterday. But for the first time, able to get back in their routine, which is going to be what their playoff routine will look like when they start getting 3, 4, 5 days at home in a row before they go on the road. Just interesting that you go 40-something days and don't have a single practice at home. And they're not the only team in the league, by the way. There are 2 other teams that also did not have a single home practice over that 40-day stretch. So No favors done by the schedule makers, but good to get back to the basics.
Yeah.
Especially before a game tonight against the Knicks team that has won 3 in a row but has no Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, and
They lost
again,
the 3 seed too.
it's,
This has no implications.
7 games left.
Yep.
They got 2 with the Knicks, don't they?
Yeah, here and then in
And then
New
2
York
with
City.
Indiana.
Yep.
And
10.5 tonight's the spread. What are we thinking?
just
They're going to crush them.
think so?
Knicks
Just
are on the
don't get
second.
hurt. That's all I care about these next 7 games. I mean, it's really, and they're going to have plenty of time because when this regular season ends,
There's the
they'll have like a
play-in.
week off before they'll play.
5 days is the.
Yeah, but they're like none of their guys are going to play in that last regular season game,
No,
are they?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
They have 3 games in 4 days to wrap up the season. They'll play 2 of those.
I'd play 1. I mean, what you think? You know, like what are you going to get playing that second one?
Yeah, just.
I mean, they're about what's the magic number now for the 1 seed? They're 4 games up on Boston. If they end up tied, they have the tiebreaker. The Cavs do.
We're going to have the 1 seed.
They're going to have the 1 seed.
Right. So
We cannot get the OKC 1 seed, right?
No.
Or the home court.
I don't believe so. I think
No.
their record.
That's out. Okay.
While he's looking it up, though, you mentioned the 10.5. The last time these 2 teams played, the Cavs won by 37. They had Jalen Brunson. That was the game Darius got hurt. If you remember, the Cat kind of pushed him and he hit the hip injury. It looked like he smacked his head. Knicks had a back-to-back. This is the second night of a back-to-back. They beat Philly yesterday. Cavs have 2 days off for the first time in forever. New York, even at full strength, has no answer defensively for what Cleveland wants to do. And their big man, Karl Anthony Towns, is your only line of defense at the rim. And they have no one on the perimeter that can stay in front of Darius and Donovan. That's a recipe for disaster. I was hesitant when they played last time. I was like 8.5. Kind of like the Knicks. No Brunson, 2 days of rest.
I just went a couple of days ago.
I like the Cavs.
When they played the Spurs. It was a
That
great,
was Thursday,
great,
yeah.
great game.
Minus the third quarter reviews.
Yeah, but it was a fun game.
Well, you got upgraded. I remember you texted us the seats, so you were in good seats. So it's a little.
I believe the Cavs would have the tiebreaker if they finish tied. I believe because I think the first tiebreaker is head-to-head and they split.
Okay.
I believe the second tiebreaker is conference record, and the Cavs have a better conference record than Oklahoma City. And obviously, if Oklahoma City would have to lose a bunch of games for them
Yeah.
to tie, so technically the Cavs have the tiebreaker, I believe. But Oklahoma City's up 3 games with 7 to go. So even if Oklahoma City lost every game and finished 63-19. I'm sorry, 63-19. The Cavs would have to go 3-4. Yeah, I mean, but what's the odds that Oklahoma City's going to lose out? So I believe the magic number is 5 for Oklahoma City to clinch
The
the
1 seed.
overall 1 seed. For the Cavs, it's 4 to clinch the 1 seed in the East.
When you're traveling as much as they did
Yeah.
this month, Dustin, how much is that? I know football is very different. You play 1 game.
Very
but,
different.
But
Football's basketball's the worst.
without a
Because
doubt,
even though baseball is more games,
you're in the
they
same
stay
spot
in a
for
city
3-4
for
days.
3, 4, 5 days.
Can you just talk about the travel
and they
component
also
of that?
don't have to run up and down the court. It's
Right.
not as physically taxing baseball that is as a basketball game. So yeah, it's really hard. But these guys, man, they're built different, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's true.
You've heard the crazy stories of what these guys do.
Oh,
I mean,
my God.
back in the day, like
Yeah.
when Jordan, these guys would kick it on the road, and they still go out and get a triple double. Like they're special. They're a different breed. But I think when it comes to like a team, like this, you're trying to, hold on to a certain seating or whatever. I mean, I don't know. It definitely has to take a toll on you. I travel a lot for my job, and obviously I'm not a professional athlete anymore. But getting on a plane and getting off a plane, like you get dehydrated. You're not sleeping in the same bed.
Yeah.
Like these hotels, you're staying in 5-star hotels or whatever it is. But I don't know. You'd rather be in your own bed at home,
Yep.
regardless of how nice the Ritz-Carlton is. They're not staying at the Days Inn. You know what I mean? They're staying in nice hotels, but still, it's a comfort level to being in your own space.
I wonder if, especially for basketball players, like some of these beds, like probably at their house, they have specially made beds,
Dude,
right?
I mean, I don't know. What kind of bed do you sleep in?
I got a nice bed, but
I got a sleep number bed at home, and when I'm on the road, I miss it.
right. But for basketball players, I'm saying it's even worse because they're so tall.
Oh, you're saying like extra length?
They got
Yeah, well,
probably
that's
at home. They buy
that's-
special beds made just for them
Fair
because they're
enough.
so freaking tall. Those guys that like on the road, even at the nicest hotel, they're not going to have a bed made for somebody that's
Yeah,
6'9", 6'10".
That's actually a really good point.
We had my senior year, we had a freshman. He was a 7'1", 325-pound freshman,
Yeah.
Big Mac. Look, watching him try to sit in a dorm bed. Mm-hmm. There's no
So
big dorm beds.
By the way, if you're 7'1" playing D3, you're not any good.
He couldn't move. He was super skilled, literally, imagine, and I mean this not in a disrespectful way,
Okay.
but he was you but stretched out to 7'1". I'll
So
show you.
he's fat, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'll show you a great picture. Hold on.
So you'll laugh about this as he looks this
Yeah.
up. Like when I was in training camp and we had to stay in these dorms,
Yeah.
we'd have like full size beds. They were like the full bed, you know,
Yeah.
the size below or bigger than a twin, but
yeah,
not, but
in
not
between a full and
yeah.
twin and a queen.
They were small beds.
Yeah.
And so like some of the linemen would be they'd be having like king size mattresses delivered to their dorm rooms.
And then
the
you sleep
veteran.
on the mattress on the floor. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
because those offensive linemen are huge.
This was him on his recruit visit.
Yeah, I mean, this guy looks like he's built like a football player, and he's so tall. but
He's now a professional wrestler.
that kid is not. Oh, he's a professional
He
wrestler.
looks like he.
I mean, not like-
He looks like he'd be a professional wrestler.
like
See, I
Andre
don't know if you
Giant.
see
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he's 7'2", like 350. Couldn't move to save his life.
Yeah.
But set the best screen I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
Could not get
I mean,
around the dude.
You look like a child next to
He
him.
was 17 years old. That's the recruit visit. Yeah.
That is kind of crazy. Yeah, when you're 7 feet playing a Division III, you're not. Like we had a kid at Brockport who was 7 feet, and he like played 8 minutes a game.
We had
He was so
we had
bad.
2 7-footers. That was Big Mac, and we had Big Will.
It's like the dude the Cavs had for 2 seconds. It was on the Celtics and the big tall
Taco Fall.
Taco Fall,
Yeah.
yeah. 2 7-footers.
Yeah.
One had
He was decent,
a
though.
ton of skill, couldn't move. One was super athletic, had absolutely no skill coordination whatsoever. If you combine them, they're the number 1 pick in the NBA draft.
Yeah, right.
Separately, they were too bad.
I mean, if you're 7 foot in
Underwhelming
Division
Division
III, you've
III
got to be
players.
so bad not to score because the centers, the good centers in Division III, at least when I was going to school, were like 6'4", 6'5", maybe
Yeah.
6'6".
they were a little taller. It was like 6'7", 6'8". now.
You're younger than me, so
That's what
maybe
I'm
it's gotten
saying,
a
yeah,
little bigger, but 7 feet. I mean, you didn't have any 7-footers. It was only guys who couldn't play.
He would start, do the jump ball, and immediately come out. No, I'm serious. He would
How
jump,
embarrassing
He would
is
do
that?
the jump ball. We'd win the jump ball, and then he would intentional foul. He'd play literally 1 second. Would start the game with the ball.
That sucks. The coach couldn't let him play till the first time out.
If he played one possession, he was getting hunted on a pick and roll, and they were getting a wide open shot. He could not move.
Why didn't you just stand by the
I was
basket?
gonna say.
You could play zone.
On offense. Yeah, I was saying we play offense, and as soon
Yeah.
as we got on defense, intentional foul, get out. Yeah.
No, but on defense, why couldn't he just stand by the basket? Why couldn't you play a zone?
Let me reiterate to you. Big Mac is a good dude. He's bigger now than he ever was.
Yeah. So
He
what?
could not move.
What's he doing in? Is he in the WWE?
No, he's in like
Some
he's
lower
from
level?
he's from
Offshoot?
Maine,
Yeah.
and he's up in like the Northeast Ohio. He's the big show of whatever the Northeast Ohio traveling.
Not Northeast Ohio.
Northeast, like the Northeast region. Sorry, not Northeast Ohio.
Oh, yeah,
but
he's
he's from
little,
Maine.
one of these little operations.
Yeah, and he's a-
have
he's
you
a-
guys
he's a
seen
bouncer
real
at a
quick?
bar
Have you
and a
guys seen
wrestler.
this? The Andre the Giant documentary,
terrific.
where he talks about
Terrific.
how he couldn't sleep. I mean, it was awful. When he went on a plane, it was terrible.
it's
And
got-
that guy traveled like every day.
It's got to suck to be a big guy. Like,
Not- I
like,
mean,
like
that big?
that big.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
you
insane.
can't go anywhere.
No, I mean he was recognizable everywhere.
He also
the
couldn't
guy
get
would
drunk.
drink like an insane. He'd drink like a case of beer, wouldn't be drunk.
He could drink like 100 beers.
Yeah.
Apparently, because
Oh,
I've,
yeah.
I've heard Hulk talk about this. Hulk
Yeah.
and I think maybe Ric Flair mentioned it too.
Well, all of them kind of like
Yeah,
admired. Everybody looked up to Andre. Was the man.
yeah, man, sad.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah,
Talk
guys,
some
before we
baseball.
switch over here to baseball, I want to remind everybody that March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, and even who's cutting down the net. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. There's no waiting around. So go ahead and visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get in on all the college hoop action all tournament long.
All right, good job out of you there, Anthony. So the Guardians having a pretty bad trip to San Diego right now. They get shut out last night. They were never in the game. Mike, you stayed up and watched the whole thing.
I did, and
It was ugly. Logan Allen was pretty terrible in that game.
Yeah, we'll get to Logan Allen in a sec,
Yeah.
but Michael King, we knew was a good pitcher.
Yeah, I told you I didn't like that.
Yeah,
matchup
no,
yesterday.
and you nailed it. And the Guardians they only had 2 hits in the entire game, and they
Yeah.
weren't even putting bat on ball and making good contact. 11 strikeouts, 1 walk. He only threw 88 pitches in 5 innings with 11 strikeouts, which means the Guardians were swinging and missing way too early. And when they were
Yeah.
making contact, it was light, easy contact to get out. From an offensive standpoint, it was pretty depressing watching the Guardians. And Bull, outside of the big 3 in the lineup, Quan, Jose, and Manzardo right now, who I'm putting in the big
Yeah.
3.
Well, he had an offer yesterday.
The rest of the guys throughout the early part of the season, it is 5 games. Like this is all incredibly early, no time to panic. But Nolan Jones has been an absolute non-factor. And Bo
Yeah.
Naylor has not taken the step forward that we hoped he could take. And once
yeah.
again, 5 games. I
Yeah.
know it's super early, but I'm just saying there's a lot of zeros in the lineup right now. And when we're looking big picture at this Guardians team, I'm not basing this off one game. I'm basing this off 5 games so far. They need a lot of guys to step up if they're going to compete in the AL Central. Like a lot of guys in that lineup because last night.
Dude, I watched that game last night. I watched last night's game until I went to bed and ended up turning on. Well, they were down like 5 runs, 6 runs, and I turned on the Nuggets game.
Just not scared of
the previous night I had watched both games. It's like I don't know. Do they stink?
No, they don't stink. They just
Are they average?
The Padres are very good.
No, I think they're
the
better
Padres
than
are good. I mean,
listen. I'm always torn in these situations because the rational thing to say is, this is silly. This is 5 games, and in this case, it's 2 games because they played well in Kansas City. It's insane to react, let alone overreact. On the other hand, I like that people are interested in baseball, so I don't want to just poo-poo every game until the 40-game mark. But the reality is that 5 games in a baseball season is the equivalent to the first 20 minutes of the first football game of the year.
Yep.
And would you make sweeping judgments about a football team based on 5 minutes into the second quarter?
We certainly have before. It's stupid, but we have.
5 minutes into the second quarter? G. Bush would lose his mind.
G. Bush has
said
had 13 tweets he already regrets by that point.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what the equivalent is to 5 games, right? 10 game every 10 games in baseball is like 1 game in the NFL essentially. So we're not even halfway there. So they've played terrible baseball these last 2 days. There's no debating that. They haven't pitched well. They haven't hit well. They haven't done anything well in these 2 games. And in these 2 games, you've seen the things that when you look at this division, and right now through 5 games, everybody's under 500 in the division. At the beginning, there you go. So everybody's 2-3, and the Twins are 1-4. So when you look at the division, when we were making predictions in the beginning of the year, I was saying for months that it's hard to decide who the best team in this division because they're all flawed.
Yeah.
Right? And including the Guardians. And the flaws that we were worried about with the Guardians have reared their ugly head in these 2 games in San Diego. The back of the rotation.
Yep.
Because Allen and Ortiz were both terrible.
Allen was not good last night.
No, and I just don't think he's a very talented pitcher. And the bottom of the lineup, which has been an issue through 5 games so far. I can't make sweeping judgments. I can't say Arias or Naylor or Roki or any of these guys, they're not living up to their promise. It's way too quick to say that. I understand when a guy has a lot to prove. If he gets off to a bad start, it can be frustrating. Look at the Atlanta Braves. Have you seen what they're doing so far?
I have not.
So they lost
They're
to the Dodgers last night.
0-6. I think their top guy in batting average is hitting 175, and he just got suspended 80 games for PEDs.
Pro 4?
Yeah. One of their best pitchers, Ronaldo Lopez, has a shoulder injury, might miss the whole season. So there's teams in much worse shape. I'm not going to argue that they've played horrible these last 2 games, and I had some concerns about the back of the rotation because I didn't like the way Ortiz pitched in spring training, and I'm not a big Logan Allen fan, so it's going to be something to monitor going forward. Padres are a very good team with a lot of talent. They just signed another one of their young players this morning. They signed.
I saw that, Merrill.
Yeah, Jackson Merrill. He signed what was it, a 10-year extension. He's really young. He was a rookie last year, had a great season. I think they signed him to like 10 years.
10-year, like 190
something.
No, that was 190 up to 204. I could have read that wrong.
That's still. For 10 years, that's still pretty.
That's what I thought I read.
Maybe. And they, they're a really good team. I think they're one of the best. I think they will be one of the best teams in the National League. And I said yesterday before the game, I love Michael King. I think he's one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball. There's an actor that he looks like. I got to think of who it is.
Michael King?
Michael King. Show his picture again. There's an actor. He's like a second-level actor, third-level actor that he looks just like. I got to find the guy. I don't know how I'm going to find him.
What do you think of today's pitching matchup? Cease, Lively. Cease killed the Guardians last year when they played aggressive.
It's another bad pitching matchup for the Guardians. I mean, Lively did a nice job his first start. Dylan Cease is really good. He's going to be hard to hit. And was
he with the White Sox for a while?
Yes.
Cease, yeah. He's been around for a little while.
Oh, we got the season stats.
Look at that Lively chain, by the way.
I can barely see it.
Oh, yeah. That's
What is with that?
it's.
Is Ben Lively good enough to wear a chain like that?
I don't think so.
I don't know that it fits him.
No.
I mean, I like to wear chains, but I'm not wearing that.
Where's Ben Lively from? Can we look that up?
You gonna judge his hometown?
I mean, he kind of looks like some of the kids I grew up with in Brooklyn. Like we'd be driving down 86th Street. Not that means anything to anybody here, but if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
And
Ben
kids would
Lively
be,
is
sporting
from
those chains. He's probably from some Hicktown. Is my
born
guess.
Pensacola. Yeah, Hicktown.
Yeah,
that's country.
Yeah.
In Florida, country.
It's
Florida.
weird. You don't think of like country.
Nah,
in Florida,
Panhandle
but-
though, dude.
No, you do. Yeah.
Panhandle is
The Panhandle.
It's like a different
Absolutely.
world.
It's like
from the rest of Florida.
Destin.
Yeah. Logan Allen last night.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're not a big fan of his.
No.
He throws to contact, but yesterday he was inaccurate. I think he had 4 walks. Was it 4 or 5 walks?
Yeah,
one strikeout.
when you're Logan Allen and you don't
You
have
can't
elite
miss
stuff, you can't walk guys.
You can't miss. And
Yeah.
even the outs they got, unlike the guard, they were loud outs. Not
Yeah,
all
well,
of them, but
because
there was a lot of loud outs.
He had
there.
no command, and
Yeah.
when we think of no command, you think, well, he walks too many guys, which he did in this case. Generally, he doesn't. He don't even look like a ball player, does he? I mean, he looks like a slappy, but
you're going too far.
He had no command, and that can mean you throw a lot of walks. It also means you're
command in the strike
not
zone.
even within the strike zone. You're not putting the
Yeah.
ball where you want it. And when you're a guy like Logan Allen, who doesn't have the frontline stuff that Shane Bieber or Tanner Bybee or Gavin Williams have, you've got to be dead on. You see these pitchers who have lesser stuff. It's like a quarterback. All right, I'll explain it for football people. The better arm you have, the less accurate you have to be, right? Like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes can get away with something more than Shedeur Sanders can because they've got stronger arms.
Are you calling Shedeur Sanders Logan Allen?
No.
Earl, get ready for the social clip.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
Earl is
I'm
Bill
not-
is now calling
I'm not.
Shedeur Sanders Logan
I'm
Allen.
not. I shouldn't even use them as an example because now people will turn it into that. But
You did it to yourself.
Here's the thing. No, because I'm not comparing them to. But there are pitchers who don't have elite stuff who become very good pitchers because they can command the ball. Greg Maddux, early in his career, obviously one of the greatest pitchers of all time, early in Greg Maddox's career, he threw super hard, right? And as his career went on, the second half of his career, he was not a particularly hard thrower.
No.
But he could put the ball wherever he wanted. No pitcher, there's never been a pitcher in my lifetime with better command than Greg Maddux. He walked barely anybody, and I guarantee you, 75% of the players he walked on purpose. Not intentional walks. He would walk guys just to set up another at-bat in the game or set up an at-bat for when he faced them in the playoffs. That's how ahead of everybody else he was. But when you're a pitcher like Logan Allen, who doesn't have frontline stuff, you have to have your command. And when you don't have great stuff and you don't have command, this is what happens.
So Shedeur Sanders, Tanner Bybee?
No, Shedeur Sanders is... I'm trying to think of a good pitcher
So Bybee's
who
not
didn't
good.
have amazing stuff.
So now you're saying Bybee's
No,
not
Bybee's got better stuff
good. Okay.
in that way. I'm going to try to think of a comparison. Maybe Kyle Hendricks in his prime.
Of course you would pick a Cub.
Yeah. He's not a Cub anymore.
Well, in his prime he was.
He was.
Tom Glavine?
Maybe. Glavine, I think, had better stuff than that. But I'm going to think of somebody else. Anywho, got to try to bounce back today, obviously. They're playing earlier today, right?
4:10, 4:01,
Yeah, that'd be
something like
good.
that first pitch.
Staying up till... I'm getting too old for this. Staying up till 1
I can watch that.
craziness.
4:10? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was supposed to have practice at that time, but we will not be practicing with the field being soaking wet, so let's keep it moving.
All right, guys, before we get to our next topic, I want to remind everybody about living for we. Guys, what happens when a regular day at school turns into the worst day of your life? Unfortunately, that's a reality that's happening way too frequently in today's world. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for young people in America, and in communities of color, the impact is even greater. Every bullet fired creates 2 victims, the person in front of the gun and the one pulling the trigger. Living for We, Keep Your Head Up is an award-winning podcast that focuses on real stories, real struggles, and real solutions in Northeast Ohio. New episodes every other Tuesday where you'll hear from host Marlene Harris-Taylor and her new co-host, Maisha Watkins, Executive Director of Cleveland Peacemakers. No one does a better job of bringing you the stories from the front lines, victims, survivors, and those fighting for change. Each episode, we sit down with a different organization that's working to help end gun violence and provide resources for those affected by gun violence. whatever kind of help you need, there's a person for you to contact. You can listen to Living for We wherever you get your podcasts or watch the video version on Idea Stream's YouTube channel. And then you can subscribe today to Living for We on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right,
Guys, we got torpedo bats.
Yeah, this is a big story.
I saw these.
This is such a nothing story.
Is this a nothing burger?
It's a complete nothing
Do you
burger.
like them or anti? Are you pro or anti torpedo bat?
I mean, they start.
They're legal.
They're legal
Yes.
bats that some players started using yesterday or last year. The only reason this has become a big story is because the Yankees just demolished the Brewers in that first series. And so people are like, well, it's the bats, it's the bats.
And it's because torpedo bat
Yeah, it just sounds
like
badass.
a diabolical weapon. The truth of the torpedo bat is it was invented by an MIT scientist, physician. It's a nerd bat. This is the guy, Aaron Lienhard, who invented the torpedo bat. Yeah. But he earned a PhD from MIT.
Right.
Obviously worked at NASA and is a physics professor at Michigan for 7 years.
He's pretty smart.
Yes. If this was called the math bat, and the Milwaukee Brewers had hit all those home runs against the New York Yankees and not vice versa, this would be a complete non-story.
Yeah.
Torpedo bats are the best thing that frankly has happened to baseball in the last couple of years. It's never been harder to be a hitter in Major League Baseball right now. Every pitcher throws outside of Logan Allen. 96 with filthy stuff. Every reliever comes in throwing 102 with a breaking ball that cuts 20 inches from right to left or left to right. There were only 7 hitters all last season, Bull, that hit 300. In the entire Major League Baseball, 7 guys.
By the way, they're not using these bats to hit a better
I know,
batting average.
but I'm just saying,
to hit more home runs.
Just saying. Chicks dig the long ball. That was the
Chicks
tagline of
do dig
baseball
the-
forever. We want more offense.
How long have these bats been legal?
Forever.
Always. They
It's not
just
it's not
started
a new
using
bat.
them.
It's just how it's shaped.
Now, I did
It's
see.
got like a little bubble at the top, right? It looks like
so.
And we have a picture of one?
No, we have a video actually from Major League
Yeah.
Baseball explaining the torpedo bat.
Okay,
Let's
go ahead.
take a
Let's see
listen.
this.
What are these new torpedo-shaped bats, and why are players using them this season? This weekend, some players were using new bats that caused quite a stir, with the bats looking a little different. The bat, deemed the torpedo bat, or the bowling pin bat, carries this appearance due to the moving of the barrel closer to the handle. It's being reported that some teams and their analytics departments have recommended that certain players use the different model due to the contact point being closer to the label, rather than the barrel. Experts say that by moving mass closer to the handle, the bat optimizes the sweet spot at the point of contact for some players. And also, by bringing the sweet spot closer to the handle, the bat becomes easier to swing faster. Jazz Chisholm Jr., Paul Goldschmidt, Anthony Volpe, Austin Wells, and Cody Bellinger all used the model to hit home runs this weekend in the Yankees' huge offensive series against the Brewers. And last night, Elly De La Cruz, without ever using the model prior, hit 2 homers and had 7 RBIs. Other players to use the model are Adley Rutschman, Francisco Lindor, Junior Caminero, Ryan Jeffers, and Davis Schneider. But with such a small sample size, it's hard to tell what impact this will have on hitting and offense as a whole.
Now, I did see where one anonymous coach, or I can't remember what position he has, said that they're going to look into them a little more, and based on the rules, they're legal. One guy said he thought they might ban them in the future. But then I saw quotes from 2 other guys who said, no, it's a fad. There's been other fads, and then we forget about them.
There's got to be some sort of a downside to them, too. Like, these bats can't be like, totally... Well, everyone would use them if they worked.
Right, so...
I've listened to the explanation. It makes sense.
Yeah. I mean...
I'm a tennis guy. There's different types of rackets that are shaped differently for different sweet spots and things like that. It's
for
legal.
It's for guys that tend to get jammed, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's exactly
and
what
so
it's
you
for.
have the barrel a little lower, but then you're giving up some barrel higher up on the bat.
Exactly.
So then if you hit it there, it's not going to go as well.
Lindor used it all of last season, by the way. Lindor was
I didn't realize that.
He was the first according to everything, the first initiator of this bat. He had a great season last year.
Yeah. But he's had plenty of great seasons.
And Aaron Judge doesn't use it. He had 3 home runs in that game against the Brewers, and everyone else hit home runs. Like, it's not going to make a bad hitter a good hitter.
Yeah. By the way, in that game against the Brewers on opening day for the Yankees, they became the first team ever to hit 3 home runs on the first 3 pitches of a game. Not 3 batters, 3 pitches.
And only 1 torpedo bat was used in the making of those 3 home runs.
Was that Austin Wells?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they don't look, you hear torpedo bat. I mean, when you see them, they don't look that much different.
It sounds so much worse or more evil than it is. And the fact it was the Yankees,
it
I'm
sounds
telling
badass,
you.
and because it's the Yankees and we all hate the Yankees, it plays a bigger role, and the Yankees lost yesterday. And some of those other players they mentioned that use them are not off to good starts. You know, I mean,
Stanton did use it when he hit the home run off the Guardians in the playoffs last year.
he was
Which
asked.
should be illegal. That one should be illegal.
By
but
the way,
rest of
there
them are
is
fine.
some speculation that the torpedo bat led to his shoulder injury.
Yes.
So that's going to be something to monitor here, which would mean half the Yankee roster would end up on the injured list because he's going to miss a lot of time. I don't
He's
know.
always
that
hurt, though.
He is always hurt. That's true. So,
But
so the torpedo bats will remain in the game.
Let me
at least
ask you
for
this,
now.
though. And there's no right answer, but I am curious. The Guardians use analytics as much as almost any team in baseball. I assume they do. Maybe that's not
Every
true.
team, most teams use it.
But I'm under
Only the dumb teams don't.
I'm
use
under
it
the
much.
impression
Yeah.
that they are
Yes, they are
as well equipped with the analytics as
Sure,
any team.
they are.
I've yet to see anyone, and maybe Zach will tell us when they get back
Yeah.
to Cleveland, if any of the Guardians are using these torpedo bats. But
Yeah.
I would love to see some of these guys give
Well,
it a try.
well, go ahead. Oh, Anthony sent me a message here.
I give this the signals to Bull, so I don't.
Oh,
have to
sorry,
talk on the mic
Anthony.
or anything,
That's
and
my
then he
bad.
just brings it up on air.
It's
anyway.
okay. It's okay. We take people behind the scenes a
You
little
think
bit.
I hadn't worked with this guy for a decade? And
Yeah.
every day. It's like,
I bring up stuff on the air. Fans appreciate that. I do it on purpose. So,
Keep telling yourself that.
yeah. Pipe down, will you?
I'm pushing.
So, this is not going to change. I will ask Zach on the next Ultimate Guardian show is Tuesday next week for opening day. I'll ask Zach if any of the players are considering it or if the Guardians have discussed it internally. So we'll do that.
Do they have any stats on them breaking less?
No, I don't know.
It's probably too early.
It's probably not enough sample size.
Because it scares me to death when these bats break, and I swear someone's gonna die.
Well, now that they have the netting going all the way to the outfield, it's less likely.
I'm
that
more
fan-
talking about like a pitcher getting hit, like stabbed in the heart, man.
Well, it's funny before the.
No, I laugh only because of the shock factor what you said, but it is
Yeah.
Right?
It could happen. Yeah.
We were talking before the show. Steve was asking. We were talking about like how in college and in high school, you use metal bats.
Yeah.
And they don't do it in the pros because
It's just dangerous.
You could die. A pitcher would 100% die.
You'd
if
have
they
to
played
wear a
with
helmet
metal
if you had.
or
those.
you'd have to have one of those like those L screens that the
pitching
pitchers
nets.
pitch behind.
Right.
Because the pitcher would die. Because that ball could come off. I don't know how fast, but you could get hit in the head, you'd be dead. Off of. If can you imagine Aaron Judge with a metal bat hitting a pitcher
His
in the head?
exit velo would be like 150.
I mean, at
He's
least
hitting 120 off.
Yeah,
Lloyd,
maybe
like
more. I
150.
don't know, but
They should let them at least use aluminum bats in the home run derby. How about that?
that would be cool. But then you'd have to have no fans in you couldn't have the kids running around the outfield
They hit it too hard.
because it'd be too dangerous. So you'd have to do that, but
Well,
it would be cool. I mean,
I
seeing
just think it'd be fun to see these guys hit the ball like 600 feet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, Aaron Judge could hit the ball 600 feet probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's built. He's bigger than Myles Garrett, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 6'7", 285.
I mean, it's,
How big's Miles? 6'5".
Ridiculous.
I mean, he's as big as Aaron Judge.
no, he's not that big.
Does Miles weigh?
How did
285?
Aaron Judge not play football?
He
at
did.
that
He
size?
did.
Probably
high
did in high
school.
school.
He's a great basketball player. Too.
Smart move getting into baseball. You make more money.
Wait, yeah.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, guys. So we've gone through my rundown today, but thankfully, Bull and I had plenty of stuff left over. From
That's
the cutting
right.
Board.
So I
ahead,
saw this
Bull. Do
article.
you wanna
Thank
do this?
you.
Yeah.
I want to bring this up. So the NFL is, you know how they have a penalty for taunting?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now the nose.
So they're expanding
Is
it
it
even
taunting?
more to the nose and all these other things. And they say because a lot of these are gang signs or signs of violence. And first of all, I'm not going to go down this whole road, but let me just say that the owners are complete hypocrites. And if you don't know what I mean, think about it, you'll figure it out. The owners are complete hypocrites when it comes to this. They don't care about violence. They don't care about what these symbols mean. They're just pretending they care or whatever, or they're a little uptight about it because it's gang signals. But they're complete hypocrites. Does anybody want this? Does it make football better?
Is anybody offended if someone does this to somebody?
No.
Really?
No.
Who cares? Listen, I don't love any of those things. I roll my eyes when I see a player do the sniffing thing or whatever the hell
What's the sniffing thing?
It's the nose. It's
wiping the nose thing.
I
The
don't-
cocaine thing? Is that a,
No, it's a.
I don't even know what it has to do with.
I
Oh, it's
think
a
it's
gang.
I think
thing.
it's from a rap song, but
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
even 100% sure. What
I
it is.
roll my eyes at half of that stuff, but I don't want anybody called for a penalty. It should not have some stupid thing a player does should not affect the game with a penalty. And now we're going to call more penalties for all this crap because these owners up in their ivory towers are a bunch of hypocrites. I mean, give me a break.
Who's put? Obviously, the owners voted
Yeah.
on it, but like, who was the one pushing for this? I can't figure out.
Listen. You think about it long enough, you get what the owners all have in common.
Yeah, old and white.
Yeah, and so that's what it is. Fans are not calling for this. How many fans want more penalties
None.
for these type of things? 10%.
Dude, there's a flag after every play.
It's so annoying.
It's tough to watch the NFL nowadays. Well, really football in general, because college is the same way.
Yeah.
If there's a big play, third
You
down.
always think it's going to be a penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time your team makes a big stop on third down, you're like,
praying,
no penalties, no
You're praying
penalties.
there's no flags.
What do you
Yeah.
think of the Lions? It got shut down, but the Lions proposed changing defensive holding and
They
illegal
shouldn't,
contact.
they shouldn't be automatic first downs.
Yeah, they tried to propose that, and then the league said,
Yeah.
Or
I don't
the
like
league
the
pushed it
automatic.
down.
Yeah.
A
Like if
5-yard penalty should never be an automatic first down.
No.
Just like an offsides is not an automatic first down.
the problem with that, I agree, but then I'm like, well, would guys purposely hold in those situations?
to make it a 10-yard penalty and not an automatic first down.
Yeah, I think that would make it fair.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't love automatic first down.
Because like if it's third and
Forever.
27,
Yeah.
and there's a legal contact,
At the 3 yards past the line of scrimmage.
yeah, and you got to gain 30 yards. Why
Right.
should you don't deserve a free
No,
first
no,
down?
it's stupid.
Yeah, 10 yards is the right number.
As great as the NFL is, there's so many things I feel like they could do to make it better, but they're so they sometimes they get stuck in their own ways or like with an old school mentality. Like replay could be so much better. The idea of a 4th and 20 or 4th and 25 instead of the onside kick. I mean, it sucks.
First off, the kickoff too. It's so
They're
wonky now.
I know they're making and now they're encouraging even
yeah.
more kickoffs. I don't know because
I mean, it was an exciting play, and there were a
Yeah.
lot of kickoff returns for touchdowns.
there'll be more next year.
Yeah, and that will be exciting. It's just
Yeah.
weird how it looks.
It looks very strange.
It looks
They
very
do a
weird.
decent job with the TV. They try to hide it. Like
Yeah.
they don't show where the guys are lined up. They just kind of show the guy catching the ball, and then it's like the
It's bizarre because you're not used to a play starting in football and half of the players is standing
Stay
there.
still.
It's so jarring.
when you're at the game in person, it doesn't. It just looks really wonky.
Yeah, I bet.
Dustin, when you played,
Yeah.
could you tell the fine line between talking trash and then getting a flag for taunting? Like, could you feel like, okay, I'm now infringing on the area of
Yeah, I mean,
this could get penalized?
I was never a trash talker, so I'm probably the wrong guy to ask about this because I don't really even know where the line would be. I was like, always, hey man, I'm conserving energy. I don't need to do anything extra after the play. I don't need to. And first off, I don't need this guy to have extra incentive to try and beat me.
Yeah.
It's already tough enough to guard these guys because they're
Right.
ridiculous athletes, and I'm trying to do everything backwards. Like, no, I was never a trash talker. But you get away with a lot. I'll tell you that much. I mean, if you call a flag, the ref hears something, like it's got to be pretty egregious for them to make that call because most times you can say whatever the hell you want.
And that's why I think, like, automatic flagging for the nose or a bow and
It's
like
so dumb.
It was like when they remember
It's
back
still
back
stupid.
remember guys back a few years ago when they said you can't do the horns down thing. Or
Yeah.
whatever, the horns down with
Yeah.
the Texas.
I love that because I like A&M, but it's so stupid.
Or it was Oklahoma too doing
Yeah,
it too to those guys, and it's like, really, that's so
Horns down.
We
silly.
got to legislate
All day.
that. Yeah, it's just
15-yard flag, throw
Yeah,
the horns down.
Let's try to be better with pass interference calls.
Yeah, right. The things that matter.
The priorities in
Not
the wrong
coming up
spot,
with
yeah.
nonsense penalties because of gestures and comments.
I also think spot fouls on pass interference should not be spot fouls.
So what should it
There
be?
should never be a 47-yard penalty.
Again, I think they do. They do that so guys don't commit automatic penalties.
Okay, well, college they don't have spot fouls.
It's 15 yards no matter what.
Yeah.
15-yard
Even if
variety.
it's 2 yards downfield.
I mean, 15 yards is going to be a first down 95
I mean,
100 times.
15 yards is a pretty significant penalty.
Would you
Yeah.
give that an automatic first down?
What?
Like pass interference?
Oh yeah. Pass interference for sure.
15 yards and a first down.
I would.
I can live with that.
I mean, honestly, I probably if it was like short of the first down, I think you could have that conversation. Like if it's pass interference on it's second and 15.
Yeah.
You throw a 7-yard slant, you get there, the corner gets there a little bit too early, flag, PI. I'd be a spot foul right there. And it'd be replay the down. Instead of 2nd and 15, it's 2nd and 7.
What offensive penalties would you change in terms of like holding 10 yards? You like that?
The one that is such a killer is the offensive pass interference is such a killer. The 15 yards.
Oh, yeah.
It's
So you
15
wouldn't do
yards
15
and
too
loss.
much?
Is it loss of down too? I believe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No,
No,
No, not loss of down.
intentional
No.
grounding is.
Intentional grounding is, yeah. But no, I don't like the OPI. What else is bad on offense? I'm trying to think.
Holding, false start, illegal motion.
False start's only 5 yards.
Holding shouldn't be 10 yards.
False start is really weird because you see guys move and they don't call it, and then other guys, I don't know. It's strange. Also, I think if the guy, they call too many false starts when a guy barely moves. I just think, is that in the spirit of the rule? If a guy moves, like if he's lined up as a center, obviously I'm not down on the ground, and he kind of moves like this
Well,
and settles back in. I mean,
if the
I
defensive
don't know.
line's going off any movement, and then that's a movement,
Right,
then
but I think if the defense then moves but sometimes the defense didn't move and then they like purposely move because they see that. I just think that's lame. But listen, we don't need to make that many changes in terms of the penalties. I just think they need to do a better job with replay, be quicker, and have the eye in the sky at the game. We shouldn't have to have the referees go to the sideline. We shouldn't have to have somebody in New York or wherever make the decisions on these things. It's stupid. So just be more efficient with that. And as we said yesterday, I'm glad they changed overtime in the regular season to match up the playoffs in terms of both teams get a shot. But I think it's stupid that they only do 10 minutes. I don't think we should have ties in the NFL. I think there should be no ties.
There shouldn't be ties. There shouldn't be a 10-minute overtime.
No.
Like you just play football until somebody wins the game. It wouldn't happen that often.
In fact, I would say play a 15-minute overtime and then go to college rules after that to get a winner.
Fine.
How often would that happen? Once or twice a year, maybe?
Rare. It'd be rare.
If that.
Right. So why not? Let's have a winner. Ties suck in any sport. There should be no ties.
No, there should not be ties. Hey, do we have a second? Can I talk about that thing I sent you?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah, this is interesting.
So this is fascinating, and I'd be curious because I'm going to the Cavs game tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Go to a lot of events, here in Cleveland, Guardians, Browns games, whatever. So Coastal Carolina is school, Myrtle Beach, right? They're down in Conway, South Carolina. They actually get pretty good attendance at their football games.
That's a teal turf, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I've done a few games there over the last several years. Cool school. Like really good baseball school, by the way.
Yeah.
They've been in the College World Series and all that good stuff. So
Gavin Williams.
they are going to now with the purchase of what you buy your ticket, unlimited concessions
Except for alcohol. No.
Genius,
right?
Genius.
Now it's not everything. It's the main ones. So like hot dog, popcorn, nachos,
Right.
sodas.
Yeah, there's probably some specialty stands.
Yeah,
that you
for
can't
whatever.
do it
But
at,
like just the normal concessions.
Yeah.
It is
Candy.
unlimited. Now you can only get, I think it's 4 items at a time.
But you can come
But
back
you
as
can
much as
come
you
back
want.
as many times as you want.
It's a good deal because more people. They said there was some other place where they did it, and people were getting to the game earlier.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Yeah.
And
'Cause,
and
like,
they were
instead-
buying more like memorabilia, and they were spending money in other parts.
So
And because look at, I mean, like, how much does a hot dog or a soda really cost
nothing.
to people?
let me bring you on the inside. So
Yeah.
when we were at Emerson
Yeah.
to raise money for gear, we used to work at the BC football games as the concession stand workers. We'd be hungover, it'd be miserable, but we each got $100 to do it, and that
Yeah.
would literally pay for our gear. Do you know how many hot dogs just go to waste that you have to have ready in case people order that
Yeah.
never come off
Oh,
the
sure.
roller,
Right, tons.
that stay on the roller for 4 hours? And how much popcorn they throw out after any.
Right.
I see at the Cavs game all the time now.
Yeah.
When we leave after media stuff, they're clearing out the. It is enough popcorn to fill this entire studio with popcorn.
Yeah.
Fill your car with popcorn. Fill my car with popcorn. Fill director Steve, Dustin, Earl, everyone's car. Incredible.
Yeah.
Soda
it's
costs
a
nothing.
smart tactic, and I really do think even if we are being tricked
Yeah.
in some ways, because they probably bake it into the ticket price.
Oh,
This guy,
absolutely.
Yeah.
each person's probably going to spend about $16
Right,
in
right,
concessions or whatever, so you bake it in. But if you're getting more people to go to the game. You're getting more people to go to the game earlier.
Yep.
And then you have some analytical data to back up, like, oh, well, people are now spending more at the merch store.
Right, yeah.
And they're buying hats and jerseys and
you're
shirts.
making that hot dog and that popcorn already regardless. You're just throwing it out. So now you're actually selling the inventory you're making.
Correct.
Right, you're not selling it.
But,
Well, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
You're using it as
Yeah,
opposed to literally
it's
just
actually
throwing
being
it to
eaten,
waste.
yeah.
I mean, the Guardians could do that like now. And because here's the thing. You guys know this. The dollar dog night thing.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
It's
Well-
because people, first off, the dogs, they're fine.
I
The Sugardale ones, which are great.
Yeah.
But it doesn't cost them anything.
And soda's like nothing.
Nothing. It's on fountain
what
soda.
what I would do, you don't even have to do it for free. Make everything $1. Like all the normal stuff. Popcorn, pretzels, soda, candy, hot dogs. If everything were $1 instead of what is it normally? 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
You go up to the concession stand, get a dog, popcorn, a soda for a family of 5 for $15.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a pretty good deal.
So this is like the model that some other big sporting events, and
Yeah.
I think a couple other teams have this. There may be a team in the NBA, Mikey, that does this. I forget.
The
what.
Falcons do it in the NFL.
So Atlanta, yes, they have
Yeah.
it's like $2 for everything for like those items, like
Yeah.
the main concession items. But like the Masters
yeah.
is
Their
like
prices
this.
are always real cheap.
It's this prestigious event. It costs you $1 zillion to go to this thing. You can't
Yeah.
even really get tickets. to it.
Pimento
You have to
cheese
know
sandwich,
but they
$3.
But they got these. What? Okay, you don't like
Pimento
that.
cheese is gross. But yes,
Sounds-
pimento-
sounds-
Their
sounds
chicken
gross to me,
sandwich,
too.
Yeah,
$5.
But yeah, $5
but
for
everything's
that.
cheap. I know. I've seen that.
Iced
menu,
tea,
yeah.
$1 there.
Yeah,
That's a good
super
deal.
cheap. Like the prices are basically thrown back to like the 1950s.
Yeah.
And it's
And they said they're
pretty
never
cool.
changing. Like
Right.
that's when they opened
Yeah.
the course, that was what it cost.
It'd be interesting to see if other teams go in this direction. All right, we're going to do something we haven't done in a long time.
Wait. Before
Yeah.
we do that, because I have one more thing I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
about. Have you guys seen the forecast for opening day or home opener?
It's
next week?
awful. It's going to be
Like
in the 30s,
snow,
right?
like
oh, snow?
potential snow.
Not the first
30s.
time
I was going to ask,
Yeah.
what is the worst weather we've had on opening day?
All right, before we do that, let me just tease this thing, and then
Okay.
we'll get back to that, and then we'll do it. So Dustin and I used to do this segment a lot on our radio show. We've done it a couple of times. But we haven't done it in a while here.
Ask the show!
Obviously, we don't take calls, so send
chats.
Anthony your questions. Anthony,
I have about 11 right now that I'm filtering through. So like we've got quite a lot.
Are they non-sports questions?
Some of them are sports questions. I've just been copying and pasting as you guys have been going.
All right.
So if you're non-sports
And
questions,
we'll do it in
go
overtime
for it.
too.
Yeah.
And we'll continue
We
in overtime.
prefer
if we have more
non-sports
time.
questions.
We will take sports questions, especially if you sent them already. But we prefer non-sports questions. They can be about any other subject, whatever you want to get into. No politics.
Do you remember the read?
I don't.
It's time for Ask the Show! And you had the rules, and you did.
That's right.
You did it every time.
That's right.
Anyway.
Like my brain is fried.
I do have a fun one from Evan for you
Okay,
two
we're
specifically.
gonna get
but
that.
We'll get to it later. Go ahead.
No
Mike.
politics. What was it? No politics and no
Religion.
No sports.
No sports, no politics, no religion.
I don't think we did no religion.
We didn't have religion.
'Cause nobody would ever ask us about it, but you could ask us about religion. Fine. But no politics, no sports, except if you've already sent the sports question. And I think it was no comic books. I think we got sick of people asking about
Superheroes.
comic books. No superheroes. Even though I like superheroes, we kind of got sick of that. No superheroes.
We can do superheroes. I'm adding it in because I like talking superheroes. so go
Okay,
for
you
it.
couldn't ask Anthony about superheroes. That's it. And we're going to take as many questions as we can in about 2 minutes. And if we can't answer them all, we'll continue in overtime. But go ahead, Mike. Worst weather for opening day?
Yeah, I'm asking. I just saw
we've had a lot
snow
of
in
bad
the
opening days
forecast,
here,
and that's
Dustin.
miserable.
Yeah, a lot of days. Dustin and I we would do
The
our
Clevelander
show.
or Flannery's.
We used to be at Flannery's, and then we went to the Clevelander. We'd always be out for opening day. It would always be packed. You hated it because you hate being at bars when it's packed.
I hate drunk people.
Yeah, drunk. Well, yeah.
When I'm not drinking and they
Yeah.
are, it's the worst.
Yeah, being at a bar on opening day,
It's the worst.
everybody's hammered. The place is packed.
In fact, we stopped doing opening day, I believe, because that one guy spilled the beer,
Oh,
poured
that's
the
right.
beer on
Somebody
our
spilled the beer
Comrex,
all
on
over our
Comrex.
computer. Yeah. So it was
It's a good
ugly,
reason.
but I mean, in the this is opening day
25.
13 for me here in Cleveland. I think more often than not, it's been crappy weather, right? I mean, we've had a couple of really nice.
It was
openers.
beautiful last year.
Yeah, but
There's been a couple nice ones, but for the most
I would
part,
say
dude,
at least 8 of the 13 for me, or 12. This will be the 13th. Were either 30s or 40s with some snow, with some rain, But almost always it's crappy weather, and listen from the middle of March till early May here. We know it. I mean, you got 6 weeks. The first 6 weeks of spring. You could get
They're tough,
25, you can get 75. You never know and it switches. Like today, it's crappy, but it's warm. I think it's supposed to be 65 out today.
Is it really?
What?
Yeah, I think it is.
I left my
There's
apartment.
going to be a lot of flooding out there today, so be careful.
Yeah,
They're
there
saying
was
it's
some
going to
crazy rain. One of the guys from my little league just said, "Yeah, the fields are going to be no good for like the next 4 days."
It's going to be 60.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah. But then but then next week's supposed to be terrible the whole week. So
What day is the game next week?
Tuesday is the home opener.
High of 35 and wind and rain.
Oof.
Yuck. I mean, that's a week away.
Yeah. The forecast can certainly change.
Ask the show.
Let's do it. It's time for Ask the Show.
Wait,
All right, guys.
wait. Do we have super chats first? Are these? Are these
Yeah,
part
we're
of
going to
super
use the
chats?
super chats here first. Hold on. I
Super
don't know
chats
even
and
how
then
many
ask
I
the
have.
show.
I've been copying and pasting for the last 5 minutes. All right, 1 second.
Yeah.
We'll start at the bottom here. All right, from Sledia Woods. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Bull, I love your rants, but please don't ever downplay Jackson State University. You should know more about something before saying something. JSU is a HBCU who has notable athletes and championships.
Man, you hit a nerve, man.
How many superstar football players have been from Jackson State?
Look, you found the one Jackson State fan.
I wasn't insulting the college. I'm just saying it's not known for. Am I wrong about that?
No, there HBCUs have put out some really like Hall of Fame players, dude, in the NFL.
All right, I'm gonna look up.
Jackson State alumni.
Yeah. Jackson State NFL
Walter Payton.
Yeah, Walter Payton. That was the number one
players.
Yeah.
Yeah, big
All right,
miss
well,
by
you guys look that up. I'm
Jackie
gonna read the next one.
Slater.
Willie Richardson. Kevin
All
Dent.
right. Yeah, it's a bad job out of me. There have been some really good. So yeah. All right, who was that said that?
That is Sledia Woods, if I'm reading that right.
All
Or
right.
Sedia Woods.
I apologize. You're right. There have been a lot of really good players, and I didn't realize that. So it's a bad job out of me.
How many NFL MVPs have been from Brockport? None.
0.
How many from?
There's only been 2 NFL players.
How many from Jackson State? 1. Walter Payton. There you go.
Yeah.
Jackson State.
Jackie
over
Slater's not a Hall of Famer.
MVP. I said MVP.
Oh, MVPs. All right, go ahead. My
All right,
bad. Didn't
From
mean
one
to
of my favorite names that I think I've
disparage
ever seen in
Jackson
our
State.
chat, Drew P. Balls. The Browns got number 2 pick, and I got I'm going to skip this one, actually. Hold on. I'll come back to it after I
Okay.
reread it out loud.
Yeah.
From Ahmad Fadala, no disrespect to the legend, but Kobe's myth was outgrown by his accomplishments, or myth has outgrown his accomplishments. Those chips were thanks to Shaq's 35 and 15 stat lines in the finals.
That's not fair.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
Shaq was great, but it's not fair.
Can't dismiss Kobe from that.
Kobe's great.
Yeah.
He's not Tim Duncan.
I don't know about you. You're a little crazy with Tim Duncan. All right. Is that it for the Super Chats?
No, we've got a couple more.
Okay, go
Brody's
ahead.
bottom line. Houston pick 2nd, traded back to the 3rd in 2003. Could the Browns do that, and what would it cost them?
They had to give up in that trade the number 12 pick in that draft, which was the Browns pick from the Deshaun Watson trade to get back from 12 to 3. I can't imagine the Giants would fall from 3 out of the first round. You'd have to find a way to get another first-round pick in this year's draft. The Giants, they're coaching the GMs on a hot seat. There's no way they're not going to take a player.
Yeah, I was
top 5 of the draft.
Go ahead.
All right, from Evan419, he renewed his membership for 29 months and said, smart or dumb for Aunt Edwards to pay the full child support bill up front, getting ahead of the inflation, respect the hustle.
I mean, it's just so gross. The whole thing is gross. Like he said, his comment was, well, now I don't have to hear from her for the next 18 years. This is your child. Don't you care? Anybody that doesn't give a crap about their child is just disgusting. I mean, that's just horrible. I don't even want to talk about him. Screw him.
All right, so DBDog21 says, I never understood why, when evaluating college quarterbacks, having talent around him was a negative. You'd assume that coming into the NFL, they would have better talent around them. But we heard it with CJ, and now we're hearing it with
Nobody's
Sanders.
saying that it's a negative. We're saying it's got to be a factor into your judgment of them. That doesn't make it a negative. It's got to factor in. If you have great talent around you, that may play a role into your success. You got to know that.
Perfect example. Jaden Daniels threw to Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr.
Right.
at LSU. Those guys had incredible rookie seasons.
Yeah.
And Jaden Daniels was the best rookie we've seen in a long, long time. So they could all be true at the same time. You could have elite talent.
It doesn't make it a negative necessarily.
Yeah.
It's just a factor in the process. Go ahead.
All right, guys, you ready for Ask the Show? That was our
Yeah,
last
let's
one.
do it. Let's do it.
Wait, no, you got to get back to the one that you read and then you
Oh,
didn't
my
read.
gosh. Can we get...
Yeah. That's right. Mr. Drew P. Balls.
Yeah,
Your
Drew P.
name
Balls.
made me laugh so hard. The Browns got the number 2 pick, and I got 2 nuts. Odds are we're both going to blow it. Better joke than I wrote for my whole comedy set. Good job.
Way to go, Droopy. All right, here we go. Ask the showtime.
Now
We
do
need
it.
some we have
All
some
right.
music for this?
Steve, do we have music for this?
No.
Steve's shaking his head no. So
Okay, no music.
Our first one comes from Austin. He says, kiss, marry, or slap. Jose Ramirez, Phil Dawson, and Kevin Love.
Kiss, marry, slap. Jose Ramirez, Phil Dawson, or Kevin Love?
I have mine.
What are the three options again? Kiss, what?
Marry
Marry.
or slap?
Or slap? Kiss, marry, slap. Okay. I'd kiss Ramirez. I'd marry Kevin Love. And who's the last one?
and you slap Phil Dawson.
I'd slap Phil Dawson.
Phil Dawson.
I do the
Slap
same
him.
thing, but listen, if you're gonna slap someone, they're gonna try fighting you back. I got the
just
best
a kick-
chance
he's a
against
kicker,
Phil
dude.
Dawson.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Kickers-
I got to go with him.
Yeah.
It's a clean
Yeah.
sweep. Yeah.
Plus Kevin Love.
Nothing personal, Phil.
Yeah.
Love you.
Kevin's got the most
Why are
money,
we not
right?
kissing Kevin Love? Isn't he like one of the more attractive players in the NBA? Why are we kissing
Probably.
Jose?
I don't know, but is Kevin Love made more money than Jose Ramirez? Probably, right?
Oh, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Jose
that
took
makes sense.
undervalued
There you go.
Yeah.
market
Yeah.
contract.
It's probably close, though.
Yeah, it is probably close. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a lot of questions from Evan419, but this
Yeah.
one I'll start with is a question for Bull and Fox specifically. How often does your "Give It To Me Again" rant get brought up?
Well, that was more me and Lima.
Yeah, I was actually off that day.
Yeah, surprisingly, you were off.
What is that,
Does it
rant?
get brought up? All right, so the "Give It To Me Again" thing was just like back in the day, Lebitard and his cronies down in Miami, when they were doing local radio, made this funny rant about when they got LeBron,
Yeah.
Bosh, and Wade, and they had the big three, and about winning all the titles. It was actually a very funny thing.
Yeah.
And so Lima and I wrote a bunch of things down, and we did we mocked it. It was actually pretty good, I thought, at the
Yeah.
time. I listened to it back now. It's probably pretty cheesy, but I'll send it to you. It's on YouTube.
Everything was good at that
Okay.
time.
It's on
And then
YouTube.
when the Cavs traded for Kevin Love, we kind of did something again.
We did like a
similar.
second version. It was like
It was
was
just
average.
I was just like ripping my uncle.
Yeah.
It was
it's okay. Anyway,
a fun stretch of time.
sometimes people will bring it up
Yes.
from time
Sure.
to time.
Yeah.
There are things from the show that people do bring up all the time, whether it be
Oh, yeah.
the like Duffy or
Yeah.
you know whatever.
Duffy was from an interview we did with
Don
Don King.
King.
Did you know about this? You guys know about this? If we shared the
Thanks
story
for
here.
having me, Adam and Duffy.
We interviewed Don
Don
King,
King.
and he just kept calling Dustin Duffy.
Yeah.
And we just went with it.
just
You
went
can't correct. Yeah,
Nah,
definitely.
man, he may have allegedly.
Delmonico's gets brought up a lot.
Delmonico's baby.
A lot of things get brought up, but yeah.
Anyhow, yeah,
Go
it's cool.
ahead.
Okay, so this next one comes from Mr. 216. I don't think this is Earl. But so do you guys have a story that you came from a credible source at the Browns that you later found out that was completely false, even though you really wanted to share it, but you couldn't?
That came from the Browns, or was it
That
about
you
the
thought
Browns?
you had a credible source on, and it turns out it was
Bull will
not.
tell you about Monty Ball.
Fortunately, that wasn't that big a story.
I bust your balls about that way too much, but
you haven't mentioned it forever. So yes, I broke news once.
He got the Francona.
I had
thing.
the Francona news, got no credit for it. I had it 3 days before it happened.
You did.
I said Terry Francona is the next manager of the Guardians or Indians at the time. People were giving me no credit. They were like, in fact, everybody was going the opposite and saying, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. The Indians are not signing Terry Francona. Then when they did, I got no credit for it whatsoever. Nobody said, sorry that we besmirched you, and whatever. So I felt like I was a newsbreaker now. And then, I don't know how long after this happened.
You had a guy wearing like
Yeah.
Denver
so
or something?
This guy who I knew who worked in radio in Denver called me and he goes, I got to tell you something. The Browns are about to sign Monte Ball, who at the time was not that big a deal, but it would have been an interest, like a signing of at least some note by the Browns. So I'm like, okay, here's my second scoop. And I went on the air, the Browns are going to sign Monte Ball. Never happened.
No,
Because you pronounced his name wrong.
Monty Ball.
Yeah. Not Monte.
Whatever. So many years ago, I didn't
Monty
remember.
Ball.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I blew it on that one. My source screwed me on that.
Okay,
Yeah.
Tone81 wants to know, Bull, have you ever been tossed from a Little League game? I want to know, Mike,
No.
have you ever been tossed from a men's league game?
No, but I did toss the one from a Little League game when I was an umpire. Mr. Colantino.
Oh. I got tossed from a Little League game as a player, but not as a coach.
Yeah, okay, fair.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever gotten tossed from a game that I played in Little League. But Dustin, you?
No, but I remember I got kicked out of a high school football game one time.
As an adult?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What was that
For
story?
what?
I forgot.
I don't know. It was at my high school. I was on the sidelines, and there was a guy on the sidelines who just, because, like I'm back there as an alum, and I didn't have like a sideline pass. I was just standing there, and he didn't know who I was. Not that I was like saying, hey, do you know who I am or anything like that, but like I knew everybody. It's my high school. Like I live across the street.
Yeah.
And he made me leave.
I got kicked out of a Little League game. We were playing for the New York State title for the right to go to the
that's a good story.
the Babe Ruth World Series, and I charged the mound when I got hit by a pitch. I lost my mind.
Did anything happen? I mean, like, did you actually?
I did. I jumped on him.
Oh, you got on him?
Yeah. And then it got broken up, and then I got kicked out of the game. We lost. We were losing anyway, but we got screwed by the umps in that game.
I got kicked out of a
Played it
bar
there.
once.
Was that with Lima?
In Nashville, like 4 years ago.
Oh, that's not good.
No,
Was
I don't. No, I don't even know. No one even knows why.
Oh. Mysterious.
I think I was like misidentified as somebody else.
Somebody else who was up to no good.
Yeah,
It was a stash.
I didn't have the stash then.
Have you been?
By the way, do we like the stash? I mean, I got a lot
I
of
think it looks
confidence.
good.
I do, yeah.
It's very rare. Most people look terrible with the mustache and nothing else. But I think it's a pretty good look for you.
No, it definitely works.
It's very rare. I mean, I'd say 9 out of 10 people with just the stash look like child molesters.
Well, he's got the flow in the back too.
I'm actually really jealous because my mustache doesn't connect in the middle. I got like a gap underneath my
Yeah,
nose.
you
Like
can't
I could
do
never
that.
pull that off.
You can't do that.
You should try it.
All right, next.
No, I'm good. I'm good, Mike.
I had the mustache
so
once that looked terrible.
This one
Mike
might
had
be
it,
for
looked terrible.
Mike.
Good.
Were there
me?
any other show names before settling on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show? I actually don't know.
Yeah, there was a gajillion. It was all a play off the Best Damn Sports Show, which Steve Becker, EP, was the EP of back then.
I
So
clearly wasn't asked.
Well, that's not true because Dustin was supposed to be on the OG panel.
yeah,
I was
true.
supposed.
Dustin was
I
supposed to be
No one
Tyvis.
even knows the story, but it's not a big deal.
I think I just said
Yeah.
it, but
It's not a big deal. But it all worked out in the end. Put it that way.
There was the best damn show in the land, the
Yeah.
best sports show in the land, or the land of sports we talked about.
Those are all worse than this.
There's a bunch.
I thought the name of the show was stupid in the beginning, but it's grown on me over the years.
Fun fact: the name of the show was not in the job application I filled out, so it was just like, the Cleveland Sports Show. So I was like, all right. When I got here, this was just what it was called.
There it was.
Yeah, it wasn't that's not what I voted for originally, but I'm glad.
All
we
right,
ended
what'd
up
you
going
vote for
with it.
It's
originally?
easy to say UCSS, but
Yeah.
no one knows
Yeah.
what that means.
Right, that's true.
Like
Well,
I can't be like texting somebody a guest. Like, hey, will
Yeah.
you come on UCSS next week?
Right. Yeah, a lot of people.
don't know
Yeah,
what
I
it
mean,
means.
if you've been on the show now, if local people probably
Yeah,
know,
no.
but nationally,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's fine.
What was
it's
the
fine.
one you voted for originally?
I don't. I could find the email, I'm sure, but
Don't
I
worry about
don't.
it. If you think of it. Go ahead, Anthony, next.
Hold on, I'm trying to find this one. It was okay from Evan.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever passed gas live on the show where it affected the morale of the set?
Say it again.
Has anybody farted out there so bad that it
audibly
affected the
or,
morale
in
out on
terms of the
set?
set?
I can't smell,
don't
so
think
I don't
so.
know, but I'm guessing it'd be you if someone did. You
Saying
would-
I'm a big farter?
You look like
You
you'd
look
be
like
a big
it,
farter.
yeah.
That's fair. I can't deny that.
I don't think so.
You know, I'm actually not, believe it or not, I'm not a very smelly farter. That's a surprise, but I know when I fart, I can tell you immediately if it's going to smell bad or not. And most of my farts are not smelly.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Has anybody been invited on Jay's boat yet?
Nope.
No.
I don't think any of us have.
I wouldn't go because I'd probably get sick.
Has
I
anybody
don't,
seen it? Pictures of it?
I've seen pictures of it. It could
Sweet.
fit us.
It's sweet.
It's a nice
Yeah.
boat.
Cool.
Man,
Jay don't want any of us
Captain
on his boat.
Crawford.
Who you talking to? Who you kidding?
Captain Crawford.
We're
man.
riffraff. He doesn't want us on his boat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're riffraff. I belong.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely don't.
Yeah.
All right,
There you go.
last one, guys. Here as we wrap it up. Freddie B wants to know: Godzilla or King Kong?
Oh, Godzilla.
Godzilla,
King Kong.
100%.
Godzilla. What? King Kong, get out of here.
Fire-breathing lizard. King
Versus
Kong.
a monkey?
I'll take the mammal.
Neither.
Neither.
Is
Any
it-
more?
Is a monkey a mammal?
Do we continue in overtime or do we not have any more?
I actually don't think we have enough to continue in overtime. We got through most of the non-sports related ones. A couple people want to know when should we start worrying about the Guardians Bowl? But
Okay,
I don't
I'll
think we need
answer
to
that
yet.
question and a whole lot more on overtime coming up next. Thank you for watching, as always, the ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We'll see you.
Peace.